We are now live. We are now live. Ooh, thanks everybody in the chat room waiting. Thank you for your patience, and you will definitely enjoy tonight's show. Let me just make sure my mic is good. Let me know if y'all can hear me because I had to adjust. No, okay. See, I did something. That's what I did. Okay. Now I should be good now. All right. Yeah. So we back. Um, about to have a great show. Before I introduce my guest, we're gonna get to a couple of commercials.
Yep.
Get comfortable, hit the like button, let your friends and family know Black Magic is now live. We're gonna have a great time. Get comfortable, family. Be right back in 1 minute.
It's the numerational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Petey was with me. Order your copy of Kayla Petey and the Forest on Amazon today.
All right, all right. Looking at something over here. So we are back without further ado. Want to take this time and welcome Dr. B Sirius to the show. Dr. B, welcome back, my brother.
Yes. It's good to be here, brother.
Indeed,
It's been a minute, huh?
Yes, sir. I understand that you got some great things happening right now behind the scenes. What's been going on with you since the last time we talked, my brother?
Well, some amazing things have happened. First, I've recorded the first 8 shows on a new series I'm doing called Ask Dr. B, and that's going to be on the Forbidden Knowledge Network, and it's amazing. It shows how we do the subconscious alignment work, and we work with people sometimes live, and some folks right out of the audience who are going through stuff who would like to get balanced. Some get balanced right on the show. And we have people ask questions about what's going on with them and how they can move to the place of, manifesting their heart's desires. It's going to be an amazing series. So be looking for that soon. That's going to be on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. Also, we are doing a music podcast, and that one is just off the chain. It's we're interviewing musicians and producers and people who are in music, who deal with vibration. We're talking about their philosophies, their flow, how they get their creativity, and also how they navigate their life and how they create sound and how sound affects everything. That one is just amazing. In fact, it was great to have you as one of my guests on that show. And let me tell y'all something. Brother Rich, he blew the spot up. He was a whole different person being interviewed.
Yeah.
It was people waiting in the wings to do their version, and he kept going and going. We said, we got to cut you short, man, because you about to take it out. So we're going to do part 2 of that also, have you come again. But it's great to be talking with such powerful musicians like yourself. People who deal with music and vibration are very important. And also, in people in the background that you don't really know about. You don't know about their lives and how they do what they do and why they do what they do. So that's a series that will be coming out. You should be make sure you're on our email list at elevationtime.com to get these announcements. Also over on Forbidden Knowledge, I'm now partnering with them on several new projects, and that window has just opened up, and it's just amazing. Indeed. Also, we'll get into it in the a little bit later, but there's some amazing things happening right now in this, what they call 2023 vibration. And if you focus on it and you move towards it and just, get your will in the place where you're not focusing on what you do not desire, but focus on what you desire. And this is the time when the universe is opening up to us all.
Yeah. I mean, Dr. B, so many people benefited from the Blueprint for God Power workshop. To this day, they still talking about it. And we weren't joking when we said this year was a year, the 7 year was a God year. And family, I want you to know, man, that this is some real stuff here. Matter of fact, before we get started with the show, we got a powerful show tonight. Just letting the room fill up. I also want to give a shout out to Billy and the Forbidden Knowledge Awards going down July 30th. Actually, Dr. B Sirius is nominated. Make sure you go vote for him as well as Brother Rich. So I want to play this commercial real quick, then we'll get started. But definitely shout out to Billy Carson for changing the paradigm in terms of awards and us not thinking about the MTV, the Oscars, the VMAs, or the all those names. Now, and it is what it is. Shout out to everybody to get those awards, but we need to create something of our own, and Billy has the resources to do it. So we all need to support the brother and make this just as big as any other award show out there. So let's get this commercial, and then we'll get started with our program, family.
Hey everybody, it's Billy Carson, also known as Forbidden Knowledge. I want to talk to you about a very special event coming up July 30th, 2023. The Forbidden Conscious Awards. We're going to honor people who have been contributing to the conscious community for decades. People that you know and love that have helped you get to higher levels of thought and consciousness and awareness. It's going to be a live in-person event, but seats are going to sell out very fast. You want to make sure you're there in person, and guess what? You can help vote for the winners. Voting is available on forbiddenknowledge.com, and the categories are going to be social media influencer, podcast/radio host, TV host, actor, director, producer, entrepreneurs, health and wellness, philanthropists, authors, field researchers, archaeologists, space anomaly hunters, and of course, a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'll be your keynote speaker that night at the Forbidden Conscious Awards. We have celebrity guests performing. We'll have a halftime show where we're actually going to perform music for you. And don't forget about the pre-event mixer, where if you buy a box seat, you'll be in the VIP section, and you also have private access to a VIP mixer with celebrity guests. Shake hands, break bread, network, and then walk the red carpet with us and take amazing photos. It's going to be a night to remember. You don't want to forget this. Make sure you hurry up and get your tickets because they're selling out very fast. I want to see you there. Forbidden Conscious Awards 2023.
All right, family. All right. So make sure if y'all can be in attendance, make sure y'all come through and support. It's gonna be a movie that night. It's gonna be a movie. That's all I'm gonna say, family. We'll touch more on that later on, but it's definitely gonna be a movie that night.
Yeah, it is. I'm just glad to be, nominated. And, if y'all get out there and y'all feel that, each of us, any of us are the ones that have helped you along the way, please vote. And this is an awards where we actually get to vote for the people we feel are helping to shift our lives. So it's an amazing event.
Right. Indeed. And moving on toward the show, Dr. B. Amazing topic tonight. Metaphysical herbalism, my brother. We hear so much about the herbs. Dr. Sebi had a video one time called Herbs Are the Healing of the Nations. We hear so many people from the island, so many people all over the world talk about how important the herbs are for our people and for our community and for medicinal purposes. What I want to talk to you about is an aspect of the herbs that doesn't get talked about as much as the actual herb, and that aspect is the spiritual ingredients that is a part of the herbs when the herbs are consumed. So I told you about this interview. I was watching the legendary Peter Tosh, and he said, and I wrote it down. He said, to make bush medicine, you have to be a mystic. It takes spiritual ingredients. It's not just getting a bush and putting them together. The mind has to be in the medicine for it to work. And we often wonder, why does this brother herbs work and this brother herb or this sister herbs work? This one doesn't work. So all over the internet, everybody's selling herb, medicinal herbs, but some people herbs just seem to hit hard, seem to work, seem to do what it got to do. People seem to have some testimonies, amazing testimonies with some people herbs, and some people herbs are just okay. Well, they just don't hit as much. So, I often wondered when I was young, I often wondered what made Dr. Sebi's herbs so effective. Somebody could go to Honduras and has the same herbs as Dr. Sebi, and It just won't have the same effect as Dr. Sebi. So in my mind, I said, is it Dr. Sebi's energy that's over the herbs? And let's have this conversation about spiritual ingredients and the metaphysical herbalism. Dr. B Sirius, because I know you got the tonics, you got the flower essences, you got the herbs, you got the music medicine. I mean, you infuse it all, brother. But this is a very important medicine that and conversation, and the conversation is medicine that has to take place tonight. And you're the perfect man for this, Dr. B. Please school us about these spiritual ingredients and metaphysical herbalism.
So first, we need to realize that we are all musical instruments.
Mm-hmm.
The entire universe is vibrating, and different materials vibrate at different frequency rates. You see, so everything is a living instrument, a part of an orchestra or an orchestra. And what happens is there's a thing called the gluon state. The gluon state, if you look at quantum physics, is a space. It's like a magnetic space that holds particles together. So, what makes, a rose, what makes all the particles of the rose stay together to be a rose. And it's this mystical place called the gluon state, and it holds things together. But there is something vibrating around each of the similar particles to create the thing that we see, no matter what it is. It's all based on these vibrating particles. Now, what creates the vibration of the particles, or actually what forms certain vibrations, certain frequencies, is the thought of who's looking at it, who's viewing, who's observing the thing. You see, we all don't see the same thing. We think that we all see the same thing and feel the same thing, taste the same thing. We don't. No one actually knows what anybody else is experiencing, even though you think you do. So herbs are a part of nature. In fact, it's interesting that, most of the herbs are actually what they classify as weeds. Grass and flowers are one thing, but, herbs are like weeds. And, these weeds, these things that grow anywhere, they grow in your grass, through the sidewalk. These are plants that have condensed energy. It is energy that is vibrating at a certain rate where the particles are energized in a very unique way. So each plant is different, even though some are similar and have similar activities. Each one is different, playing a different role, a different instrument, a different song, a different vibration, a different theme, a different hook. Like in music, we talk about the hook. They all have a certain vibration. Now, you are a person who is, or a being in this vibrational state also, that we call the world, or we call the earth, or whatever we're going to call this. We all are vibrating at certain frequencies, all totally individual. Remember I said earlier, nobody knows a nobody. Nobody knows what a strawberry really tastes like. You can imagine, or we can all claim that this is what a strawberry tastes like. Everybody knows, but you don't really know what somebody else is tasting when they taste a strawberry or a grapefruit or, mint or peppermint. So we all have these different perceptions and feelings and different variations that causes us to have a harmonic connection with a certain thing. When we look at the herbs, there's so many herbs. And for, I'm an herbalist, and somebody said, well, don't you know all the herbs, right? No one knows all the herbs. There's so many herbs and plants being discovered. We may only truly know maybe 10% of the plants on earth, maybe. And that's really stretching it. We really don't know. And, I was talking to this medical doctor one time, and he was telling me how herbs don't work. And I said, they don't. I said, how do you know? He says, because, they don't. I said, well, how do you know? He says, well, if they did work, we would have studied them in school. I said, well, why didn't you study them? He said, well, there's no human trials on herbs. I said, what do you mean human trials? He said, well, we put together a research group, and we do these experiments, and we test to see if the herbs actually have this, effectivity. I said, well, what do you know? What ingredients are in an herb, any plant? And the guy says, well, actually, we probably know less than 1% of the ingredients in any plant. I said, but you just said herbs don't work. Where did you get that notion? He said, well, if they did work, we'd have learned about it in school. I said, well, you didn't learn about it in school because there's no human trials. And because these herbal products, natural things can't be patented. And when you say there's no human trials, who are the humans? Because if you've got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of people taking herbal products, because modern medicine is really only been around a very short period of time. So the only thing people had before that was herbs and natural products and natural minerals and, what they call rare earths and certain water and things like this that was energized, that these things had life force in them. And you're telling me that the herbs don't work because you don't respect the knowledge of the elders. You don't respect grandmother medicine. You don't respect the years and years and years of many, many years, millions of years of us using these things. So it's a disrespect to say they don't work. Now, all herbs have energies. They all have unique powers. They all have special nutrients. They have certain electrical impulses in them that create certain frequencies or certain waves, right? Of what we call electrons. And actually it's deeper than electrons. It gets deeper than that. We're going to go a little deeper later. But they all have a unique frequency like a song. When we talk about the metaphysics of herbs, it gets deep because herbs all have an effect. They're all spiritual, which means energy is spiraling from these particular medicinal plants. And they affect certain parts of our system, our spiritual system, our body, our chakra system, our auric field, our subtle bodies, our geosphere, our magnetosphere. You see, all of these things are parts of us. Most of you cannot see. Most of you is not seeable. Most of you cannot touch. It's energetic. You see, so we're actually picking up a frequency from the universe, right? Or a group of frequencies that we call us. You see, the plants are picking that up too. Certain plants have a frequency that is matched with yours, or a frequency that will counteract something in you when something is a little off balance. Because what we're using herbs for most of the time is to bring an out of balance system into balance and create what we call homeostasis. Certain herbs do that very well. Certain herbs give you energy. Certain herbs take energy. Certain herbs are poisonous. And sometimes you need a little bit of poison, right? When you're sick, you may need something that's a little more poison than the sickness you think you have to create a threshold and to break that threshold so that your body goes into healing mode, you see. So when we deal with metaphysical herbalism, we're now looking at the herbs not for just what they've listed in the books, because most of the people who study herbs, because like you say, everybody's an herbalist today. Everybody. I mean, it's like a common thing. Everybody's making something in the kitchen, and that's okay because we are naturally all that anyway, medicine people. But when I first studied, I was learning from people who were from Native American and also people from the continent, from Africa, different places in Africa. And it's interesting that they always had a spiritual approach to herbalism. It wasn't about, reading these books that you have now that have these herbs and they list what they do. Because see, most of the books that you're reading that says what these herbs do, they don't do that. So they might say, well, olive leaf, it's good for the immune system. Well, which olive leaf? Is it an olive leaf that grows in Oregon? I mean, we got an olive leaf growing up the street. There's olive leaf all over America. In fact, the nuns planted olive leaf throughout, the United States after World War II so that we would have medicine, just like they planted things like elderberry. The nuns were planting a lot of things, so that we would have medicine. This is the Catholic nuns. And then you had the older medicine people who were bringing plants and things from their region, from their area of the world. And depending on where you are, those plants could grow, depending on what minerals are present in the soil, what light is present, what season, what is the seasonal vibration in that part of the world. Now, when I was studying, we had to also focus on healing ourselves or focusing our energy in a way so that we could affect and meet the herbs halfway. What do you mean, Dr. B? Just because you've got some olive leaf and you've boiled it or you've put it in some alcohol and you're making a tincture or you're making a decoction, you know what I'm saying? Or you're making a foamation. There's many different ways to process herbs. But just because you have the knowledge that you read in a book that says that this herb does this, it may not do it. Why? Well, for instance, I use olive leaf, but I only use African olive. Why African olive? First of all, I really use North African olive from areas like Morocco. But why, Dr. V? What's the difference? Because that particular olive tree in that area has to go through stress. It has to deal with the heat in the dry season. So it goes through struggle. When a plant goes through struggle or hormesis, when it goes through that, then it usually is going to have more healing power. Like olive oil. Olive oil from Morocco is the one that was studied to do all this, amazing work. It was the olive oil from Moroccan olives, not just olive leaf that was growing in Virginia. It's different. It has a different vibration. It's a different soil. It was transplanted there. And that's okay. It's going to have some effectivity, but it's not going to be like the African or the North African or the Moroccan olive oil or olive leaf or olive bark, depending on what part of the plant you're using for what reason, because they're all used for certain reasons, depending on, what your focus is. So picking your herbs and knowing where they're from is the first step. Where are they from? Not just knowing what it is. It's this herb, it's that herb. No, what area is it from? Who picked it? Who carried it? What people were involved in the creation of, even just carrying these herbs, importing them or growing them, because a lot of your herbs now are grown on farms. So the soil is important. Now, whoever is picking them is infusing their energy. Whatever truck that is traveling in to get to you, that energy is important. Everything is connected to the energy of the plant. The plant is not going to have the same energy as it had when it was growing. Here's the most important thing. When you, as an herbalist or a person that's going to just make an herbal tea or whatever, you have to realize that you've got to energize it. You must focus your desires into that plant, not just read the book that said that this herb is for this. You have to actually intentionally focus your energy into the process. If you're not feeling well, you're not supposed to be making herbal products. If you're going through some emotional stress, you're not supposed to be making the herbal product. If you're just doing this for the money, which is a lot of people just doing this for the money, because the natural health business is like, what is it, 70 trillion or some billion or some crazy number. It's a huge business. It's a great business to get into. But if you're getting into it for business, then you're going to infuse that vibration. You're going to infuse that energy into the product. It's for the money. Just like music. A lot of musicians, they're in it for the money. A lot of, beat programmers and stuff, they're in it for the money. And that's it. They're not in it for a spiritual purpose. They're not in it for an energetic outcome that's going to help people all over the world. It's about getting paid. So if you're getting into the herbal thing and you're working with herbs, then you've got to be careful what you're focusing on and what your goal is, because your goal is being infused into the herbal formulation. So first, you got to start with you. Who are you? Why are you here? What is your goal? I got some static somewhere. I don't know if you can hear that, Brother Rich. But, what is your goal? What are you doing this for?
Yeah, I don't hear it. You sound good.
Okay, good. So what are you doing this for? What is your real goal behind, why you're creating what you're creating? That is a deep thing. So there are times when I don't make herbs because the season isn't right for me. I may be going through something. And if I'm going through something, which I do because very creative people are usually going through something. That's the process of hormesis, going through change, going through ups and downs. You see, here's an instance. Let me talk about hormesis just for a second. Did you know that if you see a butterfly trying to get out of the cocoon, and you decide as a human, you'd like to help it. So you go over and you wiggle the cocoon, take a little stick and kind of help the butterfly, come out of the cocoon. Do you know it dies? It dies. Why? Because it was part of the struggle of breaking out of the cocoon that created the life force energy and created the challenge for the butterfly to be a butterfly. That's just like a bird when it's coming out of the egg. You can't help it. This is really important right here. So a lot of us who work with herbs, a lot of us who are musicians, we go through these states where we're up and down. Some of us are what you might call manic depressive. We're really down at some point, but then we're really up high. And somebody wants to help you and make you balanced. And let's make the person more balanced. They're not balanced. Let's give them some Valium or something. You know what I'm saying? And make them act normal. Give them some Ritalin because they're really weird. You know what I'm saying? He didn't talk for 20 years and all of a sudden he's playing the piano like crazy. So, they want to drug you to keep you neutral, to keep you neutralized, to keep you flatlined. When a person is very creative, you're going to go through these ups and downs. When you're down is not the time to be making herbal products. This is just the way I have studied. If you're focusing on money, and you're hungry and you're greedy at the point, or you're doing really badly and you just want to make money, that is going to be infused into the product. Whatever mental state you're going through is going to be infused into the herbal products. You're usually extracting these things using water or alcohol or sometimes vinegar and things like that. Well, they are very magnetic. They're attracting energy. That's what's pulling the natural constituents out of the product into the formulation is the magnetism. So they're also pulling in your emotions, which are liquid. What do you mean, Dr. B? Yes, your emotions are liquid. They're liquid. They're vapor. When you're going through emotions, you're putting out all kinds of frequencies, all kinds of energy. Some of it's coming out through your sweat glands. You see, some of it's, coming out through your breath. It's coming out through the vibration of your hair. We are bioelectrical beings. We're photovoltaic and we're electrical in every kind of way. So what you are existing in, who you are, what your makeup is, what you're emoting at that particular time, you're going to infuse, even if it's a glass of water. You drink a glass of water and think, oh God, I don't know, I'm so thirsty, I'm about to die. And then you drink that and you're holding it in your right hand. Guess what? Guess what frequency, guess what message the water crystallizes into? I'm about to die. Instead of saying, I'm thankful for this water. I'm thankful for this life. I'm grateful for such and such and such and such. Because you're infusing it. So now imagine you're making herbs because energy is leaving your right hand and is entering your left hand. The left side of you is magnetic. The right side of you is electrical. So if you're making products using your hands, you need to know which hand you're working with the herbs with. Which one is going to infuse energy into the product? Which one is going to be pulling energy out of it? Because you got to use both. Just throwing some herbs in a pot and boiling it because you read something in the book on page 573 that said to just boil the herbs for 2 hours and then drink. That is, I guess you could call it herbalism, but it's not metaphysical. It's not on a spiritual level. It's not on a high vibrational level because you are not conscious. You're not totally conscious of what you're doing. And you have to be not just conscious, but you got to be conscientious and realize that whatever you're putting in it, the people are going to drink or take. If you're giving it to the world, if you're giving it to somebody in your house that may be going through an illness, you got to clear your mind. You got to go outside and walk on the ground and clear your energy. You may have to go walk outside in the moonlight naked. So you can get your energy right, so you can become balanced, because you can't be talking about making a balanced product that's going to help balance somebody's, system, and you're unbalanced. Now, I'm not saying you have to be healed, because a lot of people say, well, if you're in the herbs, you must be all healed. You must not have any disease. There's no such thing of not having any disease. Everybody, I don't care who's talking to you, is dealing with some sort of imbalance right now. If you're breathing this air, you are breathing in imbalanced air and oxygen, which is mixed and infused with all kinds of gases. If you're right now listening to this program, or if you're anywhere on the planet right now, you're receiving 5G, 4G, satellite energy, microwave energy. You see stuff from, from HARP and all of these different things that they're doing with the atmosphere. If they're playing with the weather, well, all of that's in the atmosphere. It's all around you. So there is a way to neutralize most of that if you know how. You can create a bubble around you where 5G, 4G, and none of those other frequencies are affecting you as much. There is a way to do it. This is what we learned when we were studying, and we were out in the bush. It wasn't in some classroom with some, fluorescent light bulbs, which are infusing some energy into your products that, is not natural. That's not a natural frequency. It's actually tearing the frequencies apart. The pots that you use. I mean, are you using aluminum? If you're using aluminum, you're poisoning the people. You're about to give them MS and autoimmune system issues by infusing aluminum, which, the vibration of aluminum, right? The man-made aluminum, not the natural aluminum in the soil, but the man-made aluminum vibrates to a rate where it causes your body to collect too much calcium, especially on your glands. Fluoride is a byproduct of aluminum. Fluoride is a byproduct of aluminum. And fluoride is so toxic that no country would let the United States drop its fluoride off, because nobody was using fluoride until, what's the guy, Mellon from the Mellon Bank, he discovered that, because he was, I guess he was one of the people with Alcoa. So they were making aluminum foil and aluminum jets and aluminum parts. So they had this leftover, which is a side effect, right? This fluoride, which was the most toxic thing on the planet. Where were they going to give it? Where were they going to drop it off? Nobody was going to let you put it in the ocean. Nobody's going to let you put it in a landfill because it's so toxic. So some kind of way they decide to convince the United States, most of the states, not all the states, because San Diego City was one of the one places where they didn't convince them to use fluoride. Fluoride is so toxic. It's so chaotic. It has such a harsh frequency that it destroys everything it touches. Oh, I know you heard you need fluoride for good teeth. Well, who told you that? And whoever told you that, when have they ever told the truth? The people that are telling you half the stuff they're telling you have never told the truth about anything. If it's big industry, you think they're telling you the truth? They're trying to get rid of people. This is population control. And also, when you use that fluoride begins to shut down your pineal gland, your pituitary gland, your hypothalamus gland, your thymus gland. All of your glands begin to collect calcium because of the fluoride. Now, so if you're cooking with aluminum pots, making your nice herbal formula, guess what? You just put a chaotic frequency in the herb and you now infused it, because the actual pot that you're using has life force energy. Either it's a life-giving frequency or a killing or taking frequency. Everything has energy, and you have to know exactly what you're doing. Are you using an electric stove? Are you using an electric stove? Do you know how much radiation is coming from an electric stove? Do you know how they get that element to heat up? You just want to heat your pot so you can boil your peppermint and olive leaf and, you know what I'm saying, and lavender. But what you're doing now is you're putting another type of low frequency what you're putting electromagnetic waves. Chaotic electromagnetic waves, life-taking electromagnetic waves into the herbs. You're infusing it. Infuse means it's taking everything. You're fusing your energy, the elements of the burners, the pot, the energy in the room, all of that is being infused in the herbal formula. Most people, are they taking this into consideration? They're not, because they didn't learn this way. Now it's new. We want it quick. You know what I'm saying? I learned about a couple herbs on the internet, and I'm now making herbs. And that's okay. Good. It's great. We're not saying don't do that. We're saying that there's another level to everything. There's levels and layers to this. So, this is why we use stainless steel pots. And the pots that I have are these special pots from China, right? That the Chinese herbalists use. Because one of my teachers was an old Chinese herbalist. And they use this pot where the bottom of it is a combination of copper, silver. I can't remember what the other one was. There was these 3 metals that vibrate, and the pots actually hum. But you got to use gas, or you got to use, real fire. But when you get to a certain frequency, the pot is actually humming at a low frequency. You hear this. You got to really have a good ear to hear it. And that frequency, that sound is being put or emitted or infused into the herbal formulation too. So your frequency is being infused. The lights in the room is being infused. The air, the 5G that's in all of the frequencies everywhere are being infused into the herbal formulation. So what you have at the end of the day, the herbs might not have as much of an effect on you as all the other stuff. So when you ask me what makes your herbs different, Dr. B? Well, I don't know how different they are because I don't try too many other people's herbs, but I'm just saying that I have a process which is old school, which they asked me to come teach once at a school. And I said, well, how are y'all teaching? What do y'all teach? How do you do it? And it's just about, let's just teach them the formulation and how to, we'll give them the recipes and all of that. I said, no, it's a whole nother way, because who you are is infusing and who the school is. You went to the herbal school. Wow, you got a degree at the herbal school. Now you're an herbalist because, you graduated, the top of your class. There's a whole nother level to this. You got to take it back to the street. You got to take it back to the woods. You got to go find out, go walk through the woods and talk to the plants and let the plants talk to you because they talk to me. When I was becoming an herbalist in the very beginning, I wasn't out studying in the classroom. I was out with the herbs because I was sick. They told me I was about to check out. So I went and I had to study on my own. And I didn't really have any teachers because most of the deep teachers at the time weren't teaching. They were talking about what they did, but they weren't teaching. So I had to become a teacher and I had to become a student. And I got little pieces of information from different people, different places, but I was working on healing myself. But I had to go walk with the plants, talk with the plants, sit with the plants, sit out in the woods, totally naked. You ready to do that? People scared. Oh my God, there might be some fleas out there or tick. What if I get bit by one of those poison grasshoppers? People have this stuff in their mind because they're afraid of the dark. They're afraid of being alone. Now you got fear. Now, if you're afraid, right, you got fear and you're a fear mongerer. You live as an inferior person and you about to make some herbs and an herbal product, it's about to be inferior. So it's not going to have the high level of effectivity that it could. To have a high level of effectivity, you got to be metaphysically, spiritually, physically, mentally attuned. But you don't have to be a person that's not sick. I need you to hear me. Some people say, well, if this person, how are they going to be an herbalist and they have diseases and they're not 100%? I'm not 100%. What it is you got to know how to balance yourself in the moment, because you could be very sick and turn it off. You could turn off an illness, at least temporarily. I'm going to prove it to you. Brother Rich, I know you might be able to relate with this. Let's say you're in the bed and You've got a real bad flu. Oh my God. When you go to the bathroom, there's stuff coming out of every orifice at the same time. You're sicker than dogs. They say sick as a dog. Dogs don't get that sick because dogs know how to eat the right grass, the tall yellow grass to get the high vibration, the MSM. You see, which is in those tall pieces of grass. That's another thing. But you're really sick and you can't hardly even move. You're in so much pain. Oh my God, you feel like you could die. Every breath is hard to breathe. Suddenly, the fire alarm goes off. At that moment, guess what happens? You're no longer sick. You jump up, you go get your money, your rings, your watches, whatever you feel is valuable, your computer pieces. You unplug the whole computer, your hard drive, and you run outside. You run outside to safety because the house, you smell smoke so it's an alarm on, the house is burning down. Why all of a sudden at that moment were you able to turn off this disease where you couldn't even breathe? You're breathing good, your pupils are dilated, your adrenaline is pumping, and you can run away from danger. How does that happen? Because there's a switch that goes off and says survival. We got to survive. Never mind this disease. You might have the worst flu in the world. You ain't got it for these few minutes. You see, because for these few minutes, we got to run. It's just like some time when, the police might be chasing you. All of a sudden, you got this adrenaline. You can jump over a 12-foot fence or somebody's after you. You go into the survival mode. But if you can do this, right, and turn off those states So you don't have to go into survival mode. You go into thrival mode. You can do the alchemy where you can shut off everything while you're working on your herbal product. That's a whole process. Now you got to work on you. You got to work on the psychiatry, the psychology, right? You got to work on the metaphysics, and the quantum physics of yourself. This is what herbalism, the way I learned it is. And I know nowadays it's all about, everything is fast. It's all about an app, and you got a herbal app, and you know how to recognize what's happening outside with the, you can look at, products and tell what they are, and everything is quick. It takes time. Patience is key. There's times when I'll be working with one herbal formulation for a week. And no, let me say that correctly. There are herbal formulations that I have been working on for years. Let me tell you. So 11 years ago, I moved from one place to another. And in that property where I was at, it had a lot of herbals that were growing there naturally. And I put them in solution. This is over 11 years ago. Do you know some of those products are still in solution, and I use some of those now? You said, well, why couldn't you just put it in alcohol and just let it sit for a few weeks? No. You got to get into the ageless wisdom. It's time. It takes time to get deeper and deeper into the elements and into the vibration. And, some of these things, we bury them in the ground. You got to take the bottle and know what kind of glass are you using? What kind of metal you using? What kind of container? And bury it in the ground, not in any ground. You need to know where the ley lines are, where the meridians are. You need to know where there's certain activity. There's like these little bees that live in the ground. These bees that live in the ground are always in a place where the energy is just right. Bees themselves, where they make their nest, and everything is in a place where there's a special energy that is coming out of the North Pole or out of the Earth and the equator. And these ley lines are these places where this magnetic energy enters the Earth. The bees, they know. So you need to know about the bees. You got to watch the animals. You got to be able to smell the air. If you're making an herbal formulation, I'm looking at the stars. This is what you call consideration. Look up the word consideration and look up etymology. The word consideration has to do with going and not doing something quickly, but waiting till the stars give you a signal. To take something into consideration is when you are waiting for the stars to give you the signal. So you send a message out or an idea or a desire, and you wait for the stars, not the sun, the stars to give you a message back. So there are certain stars that are present in the sky when I make certain formulas. Certain seasons, I'm going to change the formulation. Every season, something else different is happening in the environment that you got to take into consideration. So let me show you something really quickly. I got something here for you. You see this? I don't know if y'all can see it. Anybody know what this is? This is cleavers. And what's interesting about cleavers is if I throw it to my shirt, you see that? It sticks. You see that? It don't even fall. It's cleavers. I got little pieces of cleaver. I got cleaver seeds all over me now. It's all right. Let the cleaver seeds stay. Cleaver. What does cleaver do? First of all, it's clever because it only grows in the spring. And guess what it does? This goes into your lymphatic system, and just like it's stuck to my shirt, it has little microscopic hairs, little hooks, like Velcro, that grab all of the debris in your lymphatic system in the spring, because you need it in the spring, because the winter time, you've got a lot of sludge in your system because the sun was low in the sky. The gravitational pull was different in the winter than it is in the spring going into summer. So cleavers comes about in the season that you need it. Certain herbs are popping up in the season that you need them. So this cleaver, right? And it's funny because wherever I move, the plants that I need pop up. That's a whole nother thing. Wherever you move, if you're really vibrating at a certain rate, the plants that can help you on that journey pop up in that season. So cleavers, right now I'm using in my new formulation because we got a new parasite cleanse that, we just came out. We're actually down there finishing today. It'll be done tomorrow. But it has cleavers in it. People say, well, cleavers are not for parasites. Well, see, you don't know what a parasite is. You think that the little worms living in your colon are the parasites, the ones in your digestive tract. No, they're systemic parasites. And certain ones live in your lymphatic system. And you can't get to them with the herbs that you normally use, the black walnut and wormwood and cloves and your diatomaceous earth. Those are all really good. But when you're talking about a systemic cleansing, you're going to need something like cleaver. And there's about 25 other herbs that come in the season that are going to some of them are actually scrubbing your system. Some are magnetically pulling, and some are giving you super nutrients by the season. So cleavers, y'all. If you can look up cleavers right now, it's growing all over. To be for like another 2 weeks or so, you'll see cleaver, then it goes away. So go find some cleavers. And in most of North America, a lot of North America, you have cleavers. You see, so I picked this right outside, and you could tell it's cleavers because it has, look it up so you can see what it looks like and recognize it, and just try to put it on your clothes and see it sticks because it's got little hooks that grab. Now, this is a seasonal herbalism because I learned that we must change our formulations every season. So I make, tonics and elixirs, and they must change in the season because you've got to be able to sense the vibrational frequency of the earth, of the environment at that time. I still got cleaver pieces stuck on me. See how they stick? That's really good. It's a good thing. Those are the seeds. I'm going to plant those. Let's save all the seeds because they love me. You see what I'm saying? You got to make love to your products. You know what I'm saying? To the things that come to you naturally. Look at this one on the mic too. Look at that. So each season, there are certain plants that are present. Each season, there are certain energies that are present. See, we're in 2023. So you've got to look at the 7 vibration. You got to look at the 2 vibration and the 3 vibration to realize what's happening right now. See, the 2 and the 3 are going to be the 2nd and 3rd chakra. The 7 is going to be your top chakra. So we're dealing with energy that's flowing in between in this year, creating what we call the Christ-like vibration. This is crystallized. And Christ basically means crystallized imagination. That's the Christ consciousness. There's nothing to do with the guy that they told you that was Christ. There's a whole different metaphysical meaning for that. So in the 7 year is a year where we're inclining. We're on a new angle. We're beginning to spiral. So the G, right, becomes a 7, becomes a G, because if you make that flat line and then you make a line going down and then you begin to curve around and that begins to spiral. So this is the beginning of a new vibration, this 2023. It's a new system. It's a new vibration. It's a new world this particular year. So you've got to be careful not to take the old ideas with you into the new world, especially the ones that are unusable. So what this also says is there are new plants that are popping up this year. There's animals that are making a different path, a different trek. They're singing a different song. If you listen outside, the crickets sound different. The birds sound different. You've got to read the environment, right, in order to infuse your product with the proper energy of the environment. And you've got to be in tune with yourself and be quiet. That's the meditation piece. Be able to be quiet long enough and to have a goal in mind and know that if you're making a product for, let's say, for the colon, you need to be thinking about the colon. You need to study peristalsis. That's the energy that makes the colon, right, expand and contract. Peristalsis. There are certain herbs that work on peristalsis. You see, like, a Cascara Sagrada is another one. Haritaki is another one. Haritaki not only works on your colon, but it also works on your mindset, like your pineal. It feeds the pineal. It doesn't decrystallize it, but it helps to feed it because whatever's working on your gut is working on your head too at the same time. So there's a lot of different herbs that are seasonal, right? Or you need to find out where they're at their highest vibration on the planet at that particular time. Also, if you're making formulations, you're going to sometimes need to get, products from other countries. So you're going to need to inspect energetically what is happening with that particular product at that time. So just because I got some herbs from India, which I just did, I'm not just going to use it. I'm going to check it with a spectrometer. We're going to take this device and you can put herbs or whatever in here, right? And you can take it outside in the light, put the herbs in there, and you can look into it and you can see, because there's a scale in there that tells you the frequency, the very frequency of that particular herb. So every herb, just because it is that herb, they all don't have the same frequency because of how they were grown, why they were grown, who was around them. Their frequency is important. Your frequency is important. So now what we're talking about is making products that are on a super high level of efficiency because you have infused your goal into them. This is where your reticular activating system comes in line. The reticular activating system is a part of your brain in the back of your head that filters out, right, what it is you desire and what else is going on around you that's causing distractions. This is where the power of attraction comes from. In fact, for those of you who would like to to check out our free webinar, we have a free webinar replay at elevationtime.com. That's elevationtime.com is our website. And go to events, and you'll see the second event is the real science behind the law of attraction, right? And then this Saturday, we're doing another class, part 2, with a brother named Dr. Mahdi, who's off the chain. He's a scientist, and that story's deep. But so there's part 1 that you can go watch right now so you can understand the law of attraction and how it really works. And it's about that, it's about that, what you're focusing on and how to focus your energy efficiently. Then we're going to have part 2 this weekend. So if you're making herbs, if you're an herbalist, if you're looking to heal, if you're doing Reiki, if you're doing massage, it doesn't make any difference. All of these things are medicine processes. Medicine means measurement. Medicine, the word medicine means measurement, how much of something to use. But we're not only talking about just the ingredients that you're putting in the pot or that you're putting in the herbs. You are an essential ingredient. Your environment is an essential ingredient. Everything around you is an ingredient for the infusion that you're about to make. So a lot of products that, we go to the herb store, a lot of products only have they might only have 10% effectivity because of the way they were created. A lot of them were just created, based on the energy. Did you know that the UPC symbol, that's the little, code that you see on products that you buy? Let's see, I got some eraser stuff here for my board. You see this UPC symbol? Do you know that has energy? And it's putting out a very chaotic frequency. So most of your products are going to have a UPC symbol. But what we figured out was the code of the UPC symbols. So even though some of our products have the UPC symbol, there are certain symbols that are putting out a chaotic frequency. And most of the UPC symbols start with a 6. They got a 6 in the middle and a 6 at the end. Did y'all know that? 666, which is the mark of balance. It's not the mark of the beast, it's the mark of balance. 6 is all about balance and equality. But you've got to know how to use everything that goes into the product, your ideas, what you're putting on the bottle, your label, your wording, how you say what you're saying, and what you are making it for. What is your goal? Is it truly to help yourself and help your family? Or are you making something to help the world? Then you have got to become a helpmeet. And you've got to meet the product halfway and infuse everything that you can into that product. You see, this is very, and I'm going to say this really quickly. Earlier, I mentioned that everything in our environment is infused with 5G, 4G, right? 3G is still online. They keep saying, well, no, 3G, we turned it off. They're lying. They don't turn nothing off. They still got 1G and 2G. You see what I'm saying? They still got HARP and all the rest of this stuff, and CERN and Concern and all the rest of this stuff they got going on. It's all happening. The satellites. You know how many satellites there are up there? Do you know how many satellites are beaming frequencies around the clock? I mean, this thing is off the chain. This is like Wow, we're in a whole nother world. So when I'm working with herbs, I have to do something to nullify the effects of all those electromagnetic frequencies that are destructive. Because there's two sides of electromagnetic frequencies. There's ones that's life-giving and life-challenging or life-taking. You see? All things have radiation. All living things, all things are radiating with energy. So what do we do if we're making herbal products? And here's another level. This is another level of metaphysical herbalism. How are you going to keep those frequencies from infusing into your herbal product? This is a question I have for years. If it's in the environment, even all your water, I don't care if it's spring water, people talk about what kind of water you're drinking. Almost all your water is crap. I don't care what kind of water you're using to make your herbs. You've got to what? You've got to structure that water. So we have a device that structures water to make it crystallize. So it has the 6-pointed star. So now when you're making an herbal infusion and the plants and the herbs are coming together, that 6-pointed star in your liquid, in the water, is what's going to enter your cells, because your cells have an opening that's like a 6-pointed star. It's like a lock and a key. Most people are dehydrated. I don't care how much water you're drinking, a gallon of water. The reason why you got to drink a gallon of water, because you're probably only getting a pint into your cells, because the body says we can't absorb that water. That water is not naturally crystallized. It doesn't have the 6-pointed star. Check out Dr. Emoto, his books on water, the messages in water. So what you're thinking, what you're feeling is affecting the water. It's affecting the water in your body, the water in your products. Is the stuff in the store. Like I said, it's in the store. They got, fluorescent lights. They got energy. What are they cleaning the floor with? What are they thinking? What are the people who are touching them? You're changing the frequency of everything just by your energetic field. Yeah, this gets deep. So Dr. B, what do you do so that you can nullify the G's, the 5G, the 4G? It's a little disc. This little disc is a disc. These are from a company in Germany. It nullifies all disagreeable radiation and changes the frequency. It doesn't block it, because you can't block it, but you can change the frequency of it. So we have these throughout the lab, and we have these near the herbs. And what it's doing is it's changing the frequency of the 5G and the 4G and all those things into something that is more usable, so you're not infusing all those things into your herbal product. And you can even put these in your medicine cabinet, wherever, because everything is being infused with these frequencies. Even the plants outside in nature. You say, well, these are organic. I grew them in my yard. What satellite energy was beaming on them 24/7? So everything in our environment right now has been corrupted by these energies, but can be changed based on your thought, based on your vibration, based on certain devices, and dealing with quantum field energy. So devices like this deal with quantum field energy. You see? And for those who may be interested in some of these devices, we are going to have some. We actually have a few on the website right now. But there are things that we do that change the frequency. And one other thing is putting a right spin on your herbal products is very important. A right spin. Because if you're in the northern hemisphere, if you notice water goes down the drain, it spins to the right, clockwise. In the southern hemisphere, water goes down the drain the other way. So it's creating a vortex. So there's two different energies in the hemisphere that you're in. Whatever hemisphere you're in, you need to know the spin of energy, because usually certain storms come and they spin against the natural flow. So a lot of things like hurricanes and tornadoes are spinning in an opposite way than the natural flow of energy in that hemisphere. And it creates a vortex or a storm. So when we're done processing the herbs, we need to make sure that it has a right spin, because a right spin means that it's now spinning electrically, energetically with nature. So we use this thing called the BioSpark. Now, they used to make these many years ago. I haven't seen them anymore. I don't even know. I wanted to get a couple of new ones, but I can't. But they have these little beads inside. And these beads emit this energy. And when I spin this in the herbs, right, it puts a right spin on it and electrifies. It's a biospark. It's electricity on an energetic, natural level, just to make sure that it has the right spin. Now, let's say you don't have this. You don't have that device. Guess what? You need to know which way you're spinning your herbs when you're mixing them. If you want them to be, if you're in the northern hemisphere, we always spin them to the right. It's a right spin. That right spin, right, creates a vortex of energy, and it helps to infuse what you're thinking and what you're feeling and the environment in a place where now you're making something based on righteousness, spinning to the right. Because all proteins that are non-poisonous have an L on them. So L-phenylalanine, L-proline. You see what I'm saying? L-saline, lysine. Did I say lysine? Proline. L-phenylalanine. There's a bunch of proteins, right? They all have an L in front of them. Do you know what the L is for? The L means that if you put a laser light through that particular product, it bends to the right. If you put a laser light through a product and the light bends to the left, then it's probably poisonous. That's how they know what some of these planets and things are made of. They're using these devices that they can shine and look at the spectrum of light, right? And now they can determine what it's made of based on the way the light spins. So it's about spinning to the right. Also, as an herbalist, every once in a while, I go outside with my naked feet and I spin to the right just before I'm making a product. You just don't start making a product because it's time to make a product. So picking the right pot, picking the right water, make sure your water is structured. If you want to know more about structured water, how to create structured water, there's certain ways to do it, not just alkaline water. I know y'all is hooked on the alkaline water. They got you on that. You see what I'm saying? So go with it. It's all right. Okay. The alkaline water still has 5G, 4G, and all kinds of other toxins in it that they didn't mention. Alkaline is not the word that we should be using the way we use. Because you need acid too. Your genes, your nucleic acid is what makes you up. So acid and alkaline in the right place at the right time are very important for life. You need both. You cannot be totally alkaline. And some herbs are acid, right? And that's what makes them work. Because they're acid and they begin to balance your alkalinity. Yeah, this thing gets deep. Where you at, Brother Rich? Did you go? Did he leave? He made.
No, I'm right here, brother. You dropping it, brother.
Rich.
This is you hear me?
I hear you. You sound way in the background.
Okay. Yeah. No, I moved the mic. This is some powerful stuff, brother.
Let me get a little tea here. Herbal tea with a right spin on it.
Yeah. While Dr. B drink some water. Shout out to everybody in the chat. The chat is amazed at this, man. And not a lot of people talk about this type of information, brother. Not a lot at all, man.
Well, the truth is a lot of people just don't know about it. You know, they just didn't learn it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a lifelong study. You know, I'm learning new things every single day. You know, I just found out about some herbal products and some natural minerals that I never even heard of. Because, you know, that's another thing. You know, I know you've looked sometimes, you know, you've asked me about some of the ingredients. I don't just use herbs because this thing is that herbs heal everything. They don't. They can't fix everything. You've got to have certain micronutrients in the soil where the herbs grew. You may have to put certain nutrients in your herbal formulation. So, for instance, we use water. We have this water that comes from the Great Barrier Reef. So I have a friend who's a musician who found out about this water that they were pumping up from the Great Barrier Reef to put nutrients in farms. Right, this is right near Australia, outside of Australia. The Great Barrier Reef has some of the most pristine water in the world because there's a reef around this whole area, and the reef keeps toxins out and pristine water in because the reef is filtering the water. So they have some of the deepest waters there, and they found out that when they went down and started pumping this water up, this water was like the most pristine, mineral-rich water on the planet. So they started using it for farms. So this guy said, well, can I drink it? And they said, well, sure, it's really good. So he started drinking this water and he started feeling really good. And he took it to a lab and found out that it had the right amount of magnesium, potassium, and calcium in the right amount. That's real natural water. It has to have that, and it has to be structured with the 6-pointed star. So he started making these mineral products, you know, for his family and friends. And they were, you know, people were, you know, really feeling good drinking this water. So I met the guy over the phone. You know, he's living in a on a mountain over there. He lives in Spain actually, but he's getting these products from this place and he's pumping them up. And then I said, well, can I get some? And he sends me some. He says, I can get you as much as you want. I put this stuff in my products and it's deep what happens. The energetic field of every drop of that water is off the chain because it's of the most pristine water on the planet. Now, all the water I use isn't from there. You only need, let's say if you got 5 gallons, you could use a cup of this water and it energetically affects all of the water. On a quantum level, it affects all of the water. So we're using, these mineral waters, this is after we make the herbal product. We got to now, we want to bring the energy up to the highest level. And so we're looking at, number one, what we'd like the product to do. So let's say if it's a product, let's say if it's a product like this one called Passion. Passion was created to help people become more passionate, to have more love, to have more heart energy. So Passion, right, was also for lovers. So you can be more passionate in love. A lot of people ain't passionate. They just, they want to hit it and quit it and just get it done, knock it off and be done. We said, no, what about love? What happened to passion? So we've put together these plants and a lot of this is from the rainforest down in Brazil. Not Brazil, but actually Peru, all that whole area, the Amazon. And we put these products together and, we add, while I'm making it, I'm thinking about passion. I'm thinking about what passion is, what love really is. I'm infusing that energy. So then we're going to put the water from the Great Barrier Reef. We're going to add some of that. Then we're also going to use flower essences. If you'd really like to study something, y'all, go study flower essences. We're not talking about essential oils, flower essences. For instance, this right here is Blue Lotus flower essence. Now, I don't sell this by itself on the website, but we do have it in our product called Platinum. Blue Lotus, right, comes from areas like the Nile. Certain rivers have this Blue Lotus. And Blue Lotus has a metaphysical effect on consciousness that has a lot to do with your will. It calms you down and has you focus on what you really came here for. Blue Lotus. So we use Blue Lotus in the product called Platinum, the Platinum Life Elixir. If you read it, it says it has Blue Lotus. But Blue Lotus flower essence and other flower essences like 5-leaf, there's a bunch of different 5-flower essence. These flower essences work on your emotional body. They don't work on the physical body. They work on the energetic, emotional body. They help to reconnect you quickly to the light waves that are coming at you from the universe. So those are like your angels. So if you're going through stress, right, we use one product in one flower essence in all of the formulas that deals with stress, because the average person can't absorb what's in your herbal formulation or even your vitamins because they're in stress. And when you're in stress, the body is in a tense state. If the body's in a tense state, it's in malabsorption mode. It's not trying to take in new food and new water or new essences. Why? You're in stress mode. It's about survival. And people are in stress mode most of the time now, especially after the last 2 years or 3 years. People are stressed out totally. You know what I'm saying? They've lost their wig and hair done came out. Folks, underarm hair is gone. You know what I'm saying? So what we have to realize is that fear, that vibration, and that drama, right? That drama and that trauma that we've even having, it's not about the old trauma, it's about the new trauma. So it's not just about having PTSD, it's complex PTSD. Complex PTSD means not only did some stuff happen to us and our ancestors, right? It's some stuff happening now every day. Every time I turn on the news or walk outside, it's some stuff that's going to stress you.
Shit. Say complex. Ooh, Doc, you killing it. Oh, shit.
Look it up. Complex post-traumatic stress
Yo, he
syndrome.
killing it.
Complex post-traumatic slavery syndrome. It ain't just about you being a slave. Check this out. I'm going to say this really quickly.
Take your time, Doc.
So we talk about oppression.
Yes.
And how certain people have been oppressed.
Yes.
We know that's a fact. Did you know that after a person or a group of people or a culture have been oppressed for a long period of time, they live in the vibrational state or the solution or the energetic field of oppression. And once they get out of oppression, they are now oppressive. People who have been oppressed many times become oppressors. As soon as they get out of the situation, they're going to do what was done to them to somebody else. Good example. As a music professional, people sometimes still have me do consultations. They're putting out a record or whatever, and they contract me to come in and give them, how they think this should go. Because I used to teach the music business course at UCLA for 4 years. It was called This Business of Music. And we taught about everything about the music industry. So I'm very versed in that. I did that most of my life. And, a lot of people say, well, this artist is famous and they want to sign me. I would never sign with an artist because most artists, are oppressed. Most artists who sign with a record company, first of all, nowadays they're receiving 0.0003% of every dollar that comes in. You can't even count that. I was talking to Deion Ferris the other day, and we were talking about, her song "A Penny with a Hole in It." Most people are getting royalties. It's like a penny with a hole in it, but you're not getting the penny with the hole in it. You're getting the little cutout. Remember what was the donut spot that stopped throwing away the middle part and started making it, into food? You remember that? Who was that? Somebody it was a donut company. And instead of throwing away the part they cut out in the center, they started frying that up and selling that. That's like the royalty. You ain't even getting the penny. You're getting a penny with the hole in it. You're not even getting the penny with the hole in it. You're getting the hole they took out of the penny. Royalties. So now the artist, right, who's been oppressed, and usually by this time is not as creative as they used to be because they've gone through this drama. They've been drained and used. They've been pimped. They sign an artist. And guess what they do? They do the same thing. And they say, oh, no, I want to sign an artist. You know what I'm saying? When I get my record company, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to hook them up, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to do the same thing done to me. Almost every artist who signs artists does the same thing that was done to them. They might give them a penny more, 2 pennies with 2 holes in it. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. So now a lot of us, we've been yelling oppression for so long, right? That we, in a way, have become oppressive. We oppress other people who we feel are smaller than us or lower than us. We want to act like we're so important. Now we got it together. We're conscious. And we talk down. I had to leave this tour. I was on this tour, doing this product. I was on this it was a documentary. What was it called? Kryptonite, Urban Kryptonite. I was on this documentary. And then, we went on the road and I had to leave. I said, I can't stay on the road with y'all because what we're doing as healers or calling ourselves healers. And I never call myself a healer, by the way. So don't call me a healer because I'm not. That's your job. My job is to just help you see the door where the healing begins. But I realized that we're very condescending to the people. As herbalists, as teachers, as conscious people, the ego is ridiculous. You're yelling at the people because they eat a certain way and they live a certain way. And oh boy, these people is to this and to that. And you're very judgmental. Now me, I don't want to take none of your products because you're very judgmental. And you think you're the only healer and your herbs are better than somebody else's. My herbs are no better than nobody else's. I just have a different process because I don't even know about other people's products because I don't use them. People ask me, well, what about Dr. Blah, blah, blah's herbs? How do yours compare? I don't know because I don't take them. But what I can say is that I put my heart and soul into this. And I do this because I'm here to help other people. Because when I was sick, I promised the creator that I would help other people do their best.
Talk to him.
I do this because this is a ministry for me. This is not about making some money. You're going to get the money if you focus on what your desire is, but also make sure that you as a teacher, as an herbalist, as a person that's into medicine or a person that's teaching consciousness are not on an ego trip. I'm about tired of this. You're yelling at the folks, being mean to people. When people are not on the same journey, or they may not have taken the same route you have. Because 2 years ago, you read a book and you got deep and you conscious. You read about the universe and oh boy, and now you know about a couple star constellations and you all deep. Shut up. Because you don't know nothing, because most of what we know is nothing. Even me, with all the years that I've been studying, I still know very little. I'm learning something new every single day. You got to be open. You got to be willing. You got to be a vessel. You have to be a poor righteous teacher. A poor righteous teacher don't mean you don't have no money. That means that you're open and ready to be poured into with new knowledge. The herbs don't do the same thing they used to do last year and the year before that. I'm telling you right now, you're going to need to test them. You're going to need to do muscle testing and learn kinesiology. You're going to need to get a pendulum. You're going to need to go tap into your true essence as a medicine person. We're all medicine people. We just forgot. So then when we learn a few things and we got a product, we want to get all, people want to talk poo-poo about each other. Oh, man, Dr. B, his herbs are such and such. Man, listen, that throwing shade is going into your product. If you got a business and you talking slack about other people's business, guess what? That affects your business. You got to learn how to mind your business and business your mind and do your very best and be open, be caring, be loving to everybody, even your enemy. Bring your enemy in, say, come on in, have a cup of tea. Because your enemy is usually your mindset of what's in you. That's why you recognize your enemy, because it's in you. So while you're making products, while you're an herbalist, remember that your creative field, your energy is infusing everything. And if you got hatred and sadness and all of that stuff, you're going to have to learn how to turn it off, at least while you're making these products. You see, so all these things are important. So we're using flower essences that work on the energetic field, that work on the emotional state. Please study flower essences. We're also using essential oils. Essential oils are a higher vibration of the physical plant. They're still physical. They work on the physical body based on olfaction, which is, the first part to develop in your system. One of the first parts of your nervous system to develop in utero is your olfaction, your smell. Smell is one of the oldest things you have. Smell. That's why they say, wake up and smell the roses. Because if you smell roses, if you can really smell them, they're going to bring your vibration up, because roses, which is an apple tree, right? Roses are apples. Roses are apples. The original apple is going to be the little roses or the little crab apples. They have a very high vibration. They're not the highest vibration on the planet. I heard somebody tell me, roses have the highest vibration. Shut up. This in the Northern Hemisphere, yes. But you better not be talking that stuff around the equator. Around the equator, the energy is totally different. That's where the stuff is sun fried. And where that sun is at, and where all that energy and all the minerals that were pulled down from the rivers and the tributaries from the whole planet, they're at the middle part of the earth. So flower essences, essential oils we're using. We also use sound vibration. What do you mean, Dr. B? Yes, I figured out how to infuse the herbal products with sound frequencies. Like a lot of people talk about the 432 and the 528. Yeah, this is good because those are frequencies from the solfeggio. Those are frequencies of the earth, or harmonics of the earth frequency, natural. But to put them back in the earth is important, or put them in the products. But first, you may need to put your herbal product in the ground. The ground. Yeah, dig a hole. Put them in there. There's a certain frequency that the earth puts out. Not one frequency, but many, many frequencies. Many frequencies. You can't even hear and feel and sense the frequencies that's in the earth. Why? Because she's the lowest vibration. They talk about having a high vibration. I'm about tired of this talk about the high vibration too. I'm about to talk about this. How you're just going to give respect to the high vibration, which is male energy, and disrespect low vibration, which is feminine energy. The lowest vibration on the planet, on this planet, is the earth. They used to say, the earth was vibrating around 7 hertz. Well, it fluctuates between 7 and 12, on the Schumann frequency, if you begin to study that, right? She is the most low. She takes everything into her and converts it and does alchemy and gives it new life. You got to think about that. Everything is going back to the earth. And when it goes back to the earth, what happens is there's a frequency, there's friendly bacteria, there's mycelium, there's all of these stones and rare earths that are changing and fluctuating and putting this essence into your product. You need to go somewhere and get buried in the dirt up to your neck. You ever done that? You ever go, like, especially down in the Caribbean, and get in that sand? I remember I got in the sand in Jamaica and they buried me in that sand. And they didn't bury me that deep. It was only about 5 inches. I couldn't get out. And when I got out, the sand all around where I was black. It had sucked all this energy out of me. Because there's energy in all of us that has oxidized and is toxic in everybody. You think that you up in here, you got a high, super high vibration and you the one. Let me tell you something. Just by you saying that, you're not the one. Because that's just your ego talking. And now you have a whole lot of information and you're calling yourself something, which is, that's a title. A lot of people have given themselves titles. Like they say, well, Dr. B, you're an herbalist. Well, I might be because I work with herbs, but I'm not a healer. I don't call myself that. I might say, yes, I'm a musician. Yes, I make music. I love music. I'm a producer. Yes, I'm an engineer. But when it comes to the healing thing, I am not the one responsible. You are. The only thing that I'm doing is helping you walk through that doorway. Mother Earth is one of the greatest healers there is. So sometimes you got to get buried in the soil so you can keep making good products. You want to go through the test? You want to go through the trial of really learning how to help people? Let's bury your naked ass in the earth up to the neck. You ready for that? People scared out there all night too. You worried about worms and spiders and, leechy bugs. See, that fear makes you inferior. So you've got to go through a process. You've got to go through some events that take you close to death before you can be living. Let's go back to the earth and the low vibration. The earth is the lowest vibration. The high vibration is the sky. Not the cosmos, but the sky. The ionosphere around the planet. When the Father Sky and Mother Earth come together through you, they make love through you, through the trees, through the plants, through the herbs. That's when you have to choose to create heaven or hell. A lot of my high vibrational friends are creating hell on earth. It's all about the ego. It's all about trinkets. It's what they got, showing off what they got. Now, it's okay if you're showing off what you got because you're helping other people get it. Because I know some people that got a lot of stuff and they're helping other people get it. That's different. But if you're just trying to stand all high and mighty and say, look what I'm doing. Look what I got. Look what I'm doing. Look at me. I'm an icon. Yeah, you're conning everybody else. Your eye is conning everybody because the average person is looking for any little trinket, anything that looks shiny based on, what they're dealing with. Because you got to realize something. Right now, I'd like to say this much. I'd like to put a shout out to those people out there who are, going through things, illness. People who have physical imbalances, people who may be what you might call handicapped, people who are going through certain states of mental imbalance, physical imbalance, what you call dis-ease, or people who were born with certain conditions. Because we sometimes don't look at them. I went to this event the other day and this man, he got up and did this poetry and he had one leg. And he threw his crutches away and he hopped on one leg and blew everybody else away. Now we might say, look at what he doesn't have, but look what he does have. None of us are perfect. We all have one leg longer than the other one. One eye is crookeder than the other one, right? One ear is longer than the other. Nobody's perfect here. So we got to get out of this thing. I'm perfect. and I've called myself something. And I've named myself something, and this is who I am. No, who you are is who you are by yourself. When you take all that makeup and all that fake up and all that stuff off, who are you at the end of the day? Because now if you're making products, if you want to be an herbalist, if you want to get into the deep stuff, you have to be able to be naked without all that front. And you have to think about the people around the world who are going through challenges. There's people who can't get out of it. You can't tell me that I'm going through this and all I got to do is think a high vibration and I'll be okay. It's some bullshit. Because some people don't have a way out. They didn't get no ladder like you. So we sometimes got to deal with people who are going through some serious stuff on the planet right now and they don't have the YouTube. They don't know a Brother Rich. They don't know a Billy Carson. But you can affect everybody because you become a solutionary by what? Vibrating at such a rate where your drop of energy, right? As you walk down the street, as you talk, as you drive your car, you are putting out this energy like a lighthouse. The lighthouse does not wait till boats are on the horizon to shine. You got to be shining all the time and not fake. We're not talking about this fake shine. We're talking about being authentic. People smiling when they really don't want to smile. People get this voice when people come around. Hi, how are you? Oh, brother, greetings, my brother. Greetings, my sister. Hotep. And then you turn around and their face is down and mean and they making food. I'm not eating your food because I'm watching you when nobody's watching you and you're infusing that energy in your food. Now, when I talked about herbalism, I'm talking about cooking too. Because a lot of folks who are really good with herbs, they cook too. They cook some food. Because it's the same thing. It's what you're mixing. But it's not just about what the ingredients you're using. You're the main ingredient. Mama, right? When you cook, try to do mama's old recipe. Mama left her old recipe when she passed away. She left her recipe book. So we're going to try to make her famous, collard greens. She used collard greens. She didn't use no chicken fat. She didn't use no chitterlings or nothing else, a chicken neck. Now we're going to make it because, she left the recipe. And you sit up and try to make mama's recipe, and guess what? It ain't the same because mama ain't there because her heart ain't in it. Her vibration ain't in it. It's your vibration that makes the solution. Your outcome in life is based on your vibration, your frequency. And if you're looking down on people, right, and you got other people you look up to, then you got a problem. Because see, no matter how low you go, there's people below you. No matter how high you go, there's people above you. So you just got to realize that whatever you have, you need to be using it to 100, to its fullest, potential. Without putting other people down, without talking about other people, because that becomes the infusion. Now, what I'm talking about here, Brother Rich, and the rest of y'all that's listening right now, is that everything you create is like an herbal infusion. It's a medicine. Your talk is medicine. Your walk is medicine. You making love, that's medicine. What the heck you making love out of? What are you making love out of? Who's writing on the cave? Who's writing on the temple wall? What are y'all writing? What are y'all creating? Because you're giving birth to something every time you go into the kitchen and make something. Every time you work with your herbal formulas, you're giving birth to something. Every time you make love with the loved ones, you're creating something. Every time you speak, every time you walk, every time you go in the garden. That's why a lot of times when y'all go out in the woods, like we used to go on these retreats to the woods with people, take them on a trip, and all the animals would scurry. Why? Because they got on cologne, right? Which is water of the toilet. The animals could smell this because it smells like death, because you didn't realize that most colognes, right? The base ingredient in almost every cologne is feces and decaying animal flesh. Did you know that? That's the base note in almost every commercial cologne is death. And that's why it's able to hold a high vibration, because you got to have a low vibration to create a high vibration. To have a high vibration, you got to have a low vibration. You got to have something to stand on. And to play a really good piano, guess what? You need low notes and high notes. Imagine the band with no bass player. No low notes. You need it all. So my point here is that it's just not the herbs that should be our metaphysical way. Your way of life has to be metaphysical, and realize that metaphysical means unknown, unseen. The meta, it means unseen. You can't detect it. It's a mystery, but you can channel it, right? And make it become physical through your acts. What are your acts? What are you doing? You see? So when you're working with herbs, my thing is you got to realize that your thoughts become what? Words. Your words become actions. Your actions harden into character. Thoughts become words. Words become actions. Actions over time becomes your character. So now if you're an oppressed person and you're becoming oppressive, because a lot of us are oppressive to each other and to others, right? We talk shit, walk shit, got all this, we're mad. We keep talking about what they're doing to us. And I'm saying, well, what are you doing to yourself? If you keep repeating this over and over, guess what? You're recreating it. So now your body is an herbal essence. Did you hear what I just said? When you walk into a room with all that talk, all that disagreeable notion and all this vibration about what had happened, and you're mad. And if you're a teacher and you call yourself a lecturer and you're just angry all the time, you're just mad. Well, guess what? You're just infusing the world with more oppression. And you become oppressive by talking about what somebody else is or isn't doing. Judgment. So your vibration is off. It's chaotic. So you, as a person, are like an herbal formulation or a medicine. A medicine is measurement. You've got to be able to measure what you should be doing, what you should not be doing. Sometimes you need to have a goal. Whatever that goal is, right? You might need to sit down and breathe. Crystallize this goal in your mind. The goal is, let's say, health, wellness, wealth. All those things work together very well. Prosperity. So once you get that in your head and you begin to feel it as if it's happened, this is what you call being grateful in advance. Be grateful in advance of what you desire to happen. So now you're thinking from the goal, not of the goal. You're thinking as if you're there. So your herbal formulation, you're thinking of what you would like it to do. Is it a blood cleanser? Is it a skin tonifier? Is it for hair? You've got to be thinking that essence of it all while you're making it, because you are the solution. You are the medicine. Let me tell you something. There's some times when I didn't have my herbs. And I'm in a room and people are sneezing and coughing and hacking. I don't have my herbs. Guess what I got? I don't even have it in here. I didn't bring my water in here. Uh-oh. You may have to stop in a minute. I don't have my water. Can't be doing no talk without no water.
My eyes, man.
I take my
water. You want to go get your water? You want to go get it?
We're going to finish this.
Okay.
I'm going to get some tea in a second.
Okay.
You hold your water in your right hand. And let's say you like the herb holy basil, which is a very powerful spiritual herb, holy basil or tulsi. And, try to get your holy basil or tulsi locally. I get most of my holy basil and tulsi or the seeds from Grow Where You Are, Brother Eugene. I mean, what he's doing with plants and what he's doing with this cat is on. I mean, this is some whole other stuff here that he's doing. It's magical. And that's where you want to get your vegetables and produce and your herbs and things from people who are doing, they're creating alchemy, something out of nothing, or changing things from one state to another. Shout out to Brother Eugene Cook. Or Eugene Alala. He's got a book called Grow Where You Are. Go check it out. But holy basil, tulsi, they have in India, right? In a lot of the old villages, it's growing everywhere. Because one of the things it does is it keeps the people calm just by smelling it. Just by the essence of it in the air. Also, it keeps the children, especially the girls, from going into puberty too quickly. Because a lot of folks, today, folks is going into puberty fast. It's not just the chicken that they eat and all the animals that's been pumped up. It's also the fluorocarbons and things that's in the air. It's the heavy metals. It's the vibration of the earth that's speeding up. We're in the quickening. Everything is happening quicker. So that's affecting everybody. It's affecting hormones. So some of the children are, they're maturing a little too fast. So holy basil helps to regulate the maturation process, so that the girls and the boys don't go into puberty too quickly. Holy basil, it's called tulsi. Drink it in tea. I got some in this tea right here. There's a lot of holy basil in here. Keeps you calm and clear. Keeps you focused. So knowing what plants to use to create a certain environment is important. It's just not about what they do to you physically, it's what they do to you metaphysically. A good book. Here's a book called Herbs and Things. This is by Jeannie Rose Herbal. Herbs and Things. Now, somebody saw this in my medicine cabinet, my bookshelf, and said, Dr. B, what are you doing with that book? You know, that's a book for witches. I said, really? It's for witches? Which witch? What is a witch? What do you mean by witch? Witch, was a question. You come into town, they don't know you. You come in town, they say, well, witchcraft. What do you do? Do you horseshoes? Do you cut wood? Are you into herbs? Or do you cook? It was a question. Which craft are you into? Now, of course, the Western world, the whole thing with the, certain religions didn't want people having any supernatural powers, or actually they were natural powers, but, to do that, they had to control the natural products, and they begin to demonize certain things that were natural for our healing, that kept us mentally, physically, and spiritually attuned to the cosmos. So this book is a really good book because it doesn't have your regular herbs in it. It does have some of them, but it talks about the metaphysical properties of herbs. And there's like 2-3 versions of this book. It's really good. I like that one. Another one is a friend of mine wrote this book, Leslie Taylor. She calls herself the White Witch. She goes into the rainforest, lives with the people, and she learns the healing power of the rainforest. It's by Leslie Taylor. And let me tell you, the government came down her so hard, they like shut her whole business down because she was teaching formulation and everything. This woman was on one. She was living with the people. And she used to be white, but, living out there with the folks, she started turning a little brown. Very good book. So Healing Powers of Herbs. I'm going to give you two more. The Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs by Scott Cunningham. The Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. Really deep, really good stuff in here. And all herbs have magic once you start studying the metaphysical magical powers. It's just not what they do to the physical body. Because a lot of times what they're doing to the physical body is not what's making them function. It's what they're doing to the auric field. Because every organ and every part of you has a certain frequency. Every part of you has a certain frequency. So once you know about the frequency, sometimes that frequency may be a little bit off. So you add another musical note, which be a certain group of herbs or essences that begins to create that, there's these what they call sympathetic vibrations. So if I take like my guitar, this, by the way, is a bass. It's a bass guitar. And I was to play a note on my bass. Now, when I hit that note, if I had another bass in this room near this, it would vibrate too. That's a sympathetic frequency. See, if I had another instrument here, it would vibrate, right? What they call a sympathetic frequency with that one. See? Let me put this back. Hold on now. So with herbs and plants, you're creating sympathetic frequencies. So we find out what organ systems are out of balance, and we create sympathetic frequencies that vibrate at a rate that either gives the system that is lacking certain vibrations, it gives them vibrations, or it changes the frequency rate. Now, when I learned herbalism, I didn't learn it by just studying what the herbs did. I began to study myself, and I realized that certain plants, they made a certain sound, they had a certain smell, a certain frequency. So I began to use some really off-the-cuff stuff that, is not in a lot of the herbal books. But I'm reading the energy because I sometimes have what they call synesthesia, where I can hear color. I can smell sounds. I can taste sounds and frequencies. So this is when your senses are what they call confused or dyslexic, which is what I was born with, dyslexia, which is good because when I had that dyslexia situation, I was opposite everybody else. And I figured out that the problem is that everybody's backwards, ass backwards, because you've been taught to read wrong. You've been taught to read backwards. You've been taught to read upside down and think upside down. Most of your thoughts have been given to you by the oppressor. And now that you continue it and teach it to your children, we teach the children how to be oppressive because we're not expansive. Okay, we came out of oppression. That's true. And that's what, which creates hormesis. Hormesis is the struggle that makes you powerful. I'm not saying that, okay, all the stuff we went through was right. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that out of the struggle comes greatness. You see, this is when the phoenix rises from the sand. This is when, the salmon, right? The salmon have to go upstream against the water. That's when you catch them. That's when they have this wonderful taste because they've been through something. So a lot of times, we're looking to have a life where we're not going through anything. I don't want to go through anything. It's too hard. Dr. B, you've been studying herbs for 50, 60 years. Well, it's not really that long, but pretty long. Actually, I've been studying vitamins and things ever since the 70s. But, when it got to herbs, it wasn't until really the 80s that I really got into, natural herbs and things like that. But all these things that we're going through is making us become the ninja, making us become powerful. See, the best martial artist in the world never gives up and says, oh, I know, I'm a 25 belt kung fu, natural kung fu, karate, judo artist. They never stop. You got to keep putting yourself through struggle and strain. And a lot of times putting the herbs through a certain type of vibration, through heat, right? Through cold. And that's another thing. Some herbs, you don't heat them. Did you know that? Some herbs, you put them in water and let them sit in water starting in the new moon. And you take them out during the full moon. Because the water is going to absorb the energy without heat. So you like my Master Mushroom Tonic, Brother Rich. And a lot of people say, well, what's so different about your mushrooms? Everybody's got a mushroom product today. That's true. But did you know that the mushrooms are super intelligent? And if you boil certain mushrooms, you kill or block or you change the intelligence of those particular products because you cooked them too much. So part of the formulation may be cooked. A part of the formulation, we may use alcohol because you're looking to pull out the alkaloids. But then part of the formulation, you're just going to put it in water, in the moonlight, or outside. And the trick is to mix all those together to make a master mushroom tonic. By treating different parts of these mycelium a different way, you're combining all these things and you're keeping the life force essence at each stage. You don't cook everything. You don't boil everything just because they told you to boil it for 15 minutes. Well, who told you that? Because most of your herb books and stuff are written by the European people, and they have a certain viewpoint of things. They like to simplify things, and that's okay. That's why they only got 7 notes in the musical scale. That's why they only talk about the 7 chakras when there's many more chakras than 7. That's why phone numbers beat 7 numbers, because it's simple and easy. Because a 5-year-old can figure that out. So a lot of the stuff that we got into, like herbalism and natural medicines, we've learned a very simplified, distilled version of it. It's not as full and as expansive as it could be. And, people say, well, Dr. B, when are you going to teach a course? I've been working on this course for years, and it's a challenge to be able to put together a course. And, it's going to have to be live. Part of it's going to have to be live because you're going to have to feel the vibration of the pots and smell the herbs and feel them. When we did our course in Los Angeles, people were amazed what you could feel just from holding certain herbs in your hand and not even knowing what they were. In which, if you're quiet, you could put holy basil or you could put any plant in your hand. And if you're quiet enough and if you breathe a certain way, I could ask you, give me the first word that comes off. The person says, circulation. They open their hand, they got a little cayenne in their hand. Or maybe some, ginkgo, something that, increases circulation. And by the way, ginkgo grows like all over. In Washington, D.C., I was blown away when, we played at the Millions More movement on the Washington Monument, on the steps of the Washington Capitol. And I noticed all over Washington, there was ginkgo trees blowing in the wind. Ginkgo works on circulation, microcirculation, but it also helps your brain. It helps to circulate energy to your brain and to your peripheral organs so you can feel more connected and think quicker and faster. Why do they have ginkgo all over Washington, D.C.? Because they are thinking on their feet. Get you a ginkgo tree. Plant you a ginkgo tree. You can put a ginkgo tree in a little small pot on a pot and have it in your window and grab a leaf off and chew it every once in a while, raw. Ginkgo biloba. Look at the shape of the leaf. Look at the frequency. It looks like a fan. And when you look at parts of the brain, it fans out just like that. So being able to recognize that certain products, certain herbs, certain essences have a feature that's like part of your body. You see, somebody asked me, well, what is that herb you just showed? This is a leaf of life. This grows very well in the Caribbean. Jamaica, this is everywhere. Leaf of life. Leaf of life. And what they told me about it, they said, well, it don't die. So what do you mean it don't die? It never die. Leaf of life. So I took a piece of the leaf of life, right? Put it in some books and taped it to a book and took it across customs. Nobody knew it was in it because it was in a book, a leaf. And I forgot about it. And months later, I opened this book, and inside the book are all kind of roots on this whole page. I was like, what? The leaf grew roots. It don't die. What does it do? Well, you put it on your head for fevers, and it helps to pull fever out your life. But they also call it the love bush because it's the symbol of love all over the world. In fact, somebody was telling me that there's this plant that they couldn't figure out that was in the Bible. And when they talked about it, I said, that sounds like the leaf of life. Now we're not saying that Moses existed or not. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that those ancient people knew something about certain plants because whether it's the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, whether it is the Quran, all of those old books have herbal formulations and herbal products and crystals and all of those things in it. It's codes in there. Don't get caught up in just the stories. It's the code. But the code for this plant is it lives forever and it helps you live a very long life. And it helps with your heart. It helps with love. So many of my products have this particular leaf of life in them. You see? So just by putting this in the formulation, I might put it in at the end and not cook it. It sends an energy wave through the entire formulation. Because some herbs you add after you make the formulation and you put them in there raw. And then you sit and meditate and you have certain meditations and thoughts and goals in your mind while you're projecting your desire into the solution. So there's many pieces that goes into what we call metaphysical herbalism. And this is how, our whole product line at elevationtime.com is made. Some folks say, well, Dr. B, I've taken parasite cleanses before and none of them work like yours because I'm dealing with systemic parasites. Systemic parasites are parasites that live throughout the system. And most of the products that you see in the market that say they're for parasites are for colon or digestive parasites. They're not dealing with systemic parasites that live throughout the system. So there's parasites that live in the eyes. You call them floaters. You can see them floating when you look up at the white wall or the blue sky. There's ones that live in the brain like toxoplasma. Toxoplasma is the one that creates the vibration of fear. It lives in the amygdala and it's the mind control parasite. The average person today has toxoplasma. Look it up. This is why women, when they get pregnant, they can't be around cats because the toxoplasma from the cats get into the baby and the baby's brain doesn't develop correctly. And you might have cats and you got kitty litter. Look on the kitty litter bag. It tells you about toxoplasma, how this is, it's going to be in the kitty litter. It's going to be around the cats. Some people say, well, I don't have any cats. Well, guess what? where the animals are being fed, the feedlots, where the cows, chickens, pigs, and sheep. A lot of them have the toxoplasma in their feed on the ground because there's cats and rats everywhere. That's a whole nother study. But there's only certain herbs that are going to be able to change the frequency of your blood, because certain herbs can't go to your brain. It would fry the brain. The brain is a very delicate instrument. So there's a blood-brain barrier that stops a lot of these herbs from going to the brain. So a lot of folks tell me, well, Dr. B, I got this thing, it's for the brain. And I look at them and I say, is it for the brain or what do you mean? Well, it does this to the brain cells. In order to change the brain cells, you first have to change your gut, because most of the vibration and frequencies for your brain are coming from your gut. So you got to change the frequency of your gut. Excuse me. It's the gut that's the first brain. You see? So we when we talk about systemic parasites and things like that, we got to change the frequency of the whole system. And you've got to clean the blood, the kidneys, the liver, the spleen. You've got to balance all of the organs at the same time. And that's what a lot of people, know me for, is that the parasite cleanse. We've worked on that one for a long, long time. And it's really a special product. Over 28 days, it changes your frequency range, your frequency note, your vibration, your energetic field. And one other thing, you can take all the herbs you want and be as positive and what you call conscious as you want. But you can't really be at your best space without iron. Iron. Nascent iron. Nascent iron is iron that was picked up by plants, because the plant's roots have very small holes, very small pores that can only pick up very microscopic particles, ionic particles of iron. So, the average person takes iron pills because the doctor always says, you're anemic. Most people of color in North America are anemic, whether they told you that or not. That's why you got an attitude. And that's why you get, move so quickly. People mess with your nerves and say something. You're ready to slap them or shoot them or cut them and fight because you don't have enough iron. If you had enough iron, you wouldn't care. It couldn't touch you. You see, because you got a shield and your cells are now receiving enough energy, right? Your mitochondria is receiving enough energy from that iron, from those ionic pieces of iron, the auric field which iron creates, that, nothing is going to touch you. So we need more iron. So that's why I created this iron product, Iron Essential, to help with iron. It's nascent iron. It's not your regular iron.
You never gave me that, brother. You didn't give me that. No, I ain't got that one, man.
Well, you can have this bottle. I got to drink a little bit right now.
I need that one.
I'll get you another bottle. Whatever you need, just, I'll send you everything. How's that?
Man.
Don't do that at home. But anyway, Iron Essential. Without iron.
Good stuff.
Okay, let's see what you got.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Without iron, you're never going to be tempered. You're never going to have the fortitude to go through the stuff and realize that each thing you're going through is a state of a hormesis, which is you breaking through the challenge, overcoming the trial and tribulation. Iron is extremely important, and we don't have enough of it in North America, none of the plants. You see? So you need certain plants that are going to have a lot of iron. One of them is going to be sarsaparilla. You see? But the one that actually doesn't have much iron, right? That actually it vibrates the frequency of iron, is a plant that comes from down in Costa Rica and areas like that. We're going to talk about that in the class. We all come to the class, the herbal class. Not the class this Saturday. We're doing a class this Saturday. Elevationtime.com. Go there and go to events. And there's a class which is the real science behind the law of attraction. If you're into herbs or if you're into healing or anything, you got to learn about this law of attraction, not the way you've been taught. Because that almost is the law of distraction. You need to learn the law of distraction before you learn the law of attraction, which has a lot to do with the reticular activating system. We're going to talk about that on Saturday. And that's a free class on Saturday. But it ties right into this thing about the herbs and the medicines and the metaphysics of healing, the metaphysics of health, the metaphysics of wealth, and they all connect together. Was that platinum you had? You had a bottle of platinum?
Yeah.
Which platinum did you have?
The Gregory Reserve.
Oh, you got the Gregory Reserve. See, that's a product we made with Brother Dick Gregory, and his thing was he needed his pineal and his intuition to be as clear as possible. So that's a product that we created that helps to put pressure on the pineal gland. See, the pineal gland is strings of calcite crystals, right? These strings, these calcite strings need pressure. They're what they call, piezoelectric crystals in the pineal. They say the pineal is your pineal is calcified.
Yeah.
Well, they think that, since you're conscious, see, you've decalcified your pineal. Once again, we got some egotistical talk. Sounds great. Your pineal is made of calcium crystals. And you have to realize that piezoelectric crystals need pressure before they come online. If you take 2 quartz crystals in a really dark room and you rub them together, guess what? You see light because they're piezoelectric. They create electricity from rubbing or from pressure. So for the pineal to come online, you got to put pressure on it. How do you put pressure on your pineal? Well, that's what we talked about in the God Power. Remember?
Yeah.
In the God Power event, I told people how to put pressure on the pineal. In fact, if you don't have the God Power event, it's on my site, it's on Black Magic's site, but go take that class if you haven't, that course. But you got to put pressure on that pineal because it's calcified for a reason, but it's the pressure. So what we did was we put certain herbs and certain rare earths in this formulation called the Platinum Life Elixir, which helps you to have more ability to put pressure on your pineal by affecting the fluid that runs up and down your spine. You see, that spinal fluid is very important. That's how you can put pressure on the pineal, so your pineal comes online and it glows. Now, we also put herbs in there to help with aging, so that you become younger. So in there are things like this plant called 5-leaf, which is one of the original green teas. It's what's the name of it? Is Gynostemma is the botanical name. Gynostemma. Look that up. Gyno with a G. Stemma. It's also called 5-leaf. That is one of the original green teas that the old people used to drink in Asia. It helps with renewing the telomeres, which help to keep you young. Also there's things in there that help to eradicate what they call heavy metal toxicity, and that's in the product called platinum. And there is another platinum which is called Platinum Plus, which is infused, and I have to tell you that one's infused with CBD. I can't put that name on the website as soon as I say those letters. No matter, even if I turn around backwards, they come after you because there's something about this hemp plant that is dangerous to the powers that be. And I'm not talking about the hemp that they making now, this man-made marijuana, because did you know marijuana went from having 2 or 3% THC to 90%? Tetrahydrocannabinol. Do you know that most of the marijuana that people are smoking right now, since they made it legal in certain states, is effectively a drug? And they got this new thing called, Delta 8. That was a way to get around the legality of cannabis, and it's legal everywhere. Delta 8 is a poison. They made it in a lab. They processed it. They played with these plants so they could have a marijuana that gets you high that's legal. And instead of it being Delta 9, it's Delta 8, just to get around the law, because there was no jurisdiction on Delta 8. So they're making stuff up every day. They go, weed is legal. It's legal for you to poison yourself too. So if you're going to, use sacred things like a cannabis or mushrooms or even ayahuasca and all of these things with your plant teachers, it's best to realize they're sacred things. So you do them at sacred times and sacred places and sacred spaces. And if you got to do this every week and every month, maybe this is not for you, because whatever they have is already within you. You just got to know how to tap into it. Your own healing is already within you. Your own medicine is already within you. The love that you're looking for is already within you. So what we've got to do is wake up to that point that it's in us and stop blaming everything outside of us and looking at our condition and saying, this is the way it is, or it's in my genes, because it's not in your genes. You wearing those jeans. You put them on. You went and bought them. So your jeans got holes in them. You went to the mall and bought jeans with holes in them. So just the same thing with the genes in your body. You know, you think that you got something because it runs in the family. Well, you know, like my grandparents didn't have cancer. So why are they going to tell me that cancer runs in my family? When did it start running?
Hey, Doc, before you get out of here, I want to get just one question from the chat real quick. I got a super chat question. I want to ask you this, and I also want you to leave your info. I know a lot of people are going to want to join that class on Saturday, and also I want a lot of people to hit up your website and get some of your stuff. You put a lot of love and energetic healing vibrations into your products. Your products have always been great. Ever since I started using them, I called you personally and told you. It took me about a month because I don't just tell somebody right away. You know, I like to give my true opinion on something. And, you know, your product is brothers like KT. And I just enjoy when somebody puts a lot of love in their product. So, yeah, I definitely want the people to support you. But let me get to ask you this question real quick, Doc. From the we got to do like another part to this. So, you know what I've been doing lately, Dr. B, with a lot of the speakers. I've been doing a live Q&A with the people from the chat. Like they would click on the link and they'll come on the show as well. So I definitely sometime soon, maybe sometime within the next couple of weeks, we could get you on here and do a live Q&A with the people. I know they would absolutely love that, Doc.
Sure, I'd love to do it.
But let's get to this question. What's the breakdown on eczema, Doc? What's your insight on it? What herbs are needed?
Number one, eczema is a blood condition. You know, they keep trying to treat the skin because it's not at the skin. It's a blood toxicity. So there are things in the blood that are toxic to the body. Also, it's a situation where most folks are dealing with parasites, and the parasite poop is getting in the blood. It's affecting the blood at a very deep level, you see. Also, another thing, we have to be very careful with lectins. Lectins are chemicals that plants make to try to keep you from eating their offspring. There's several plants that have lectins. So like, you know, a lot of green plants have lectins. They're all protecting themselves. But some are really offensive to the system. So peanuts, they're not nuts. They're legumes. And they live in this, they only grow in certain types of acrid soil. So if you're going to get peanuts, you got to know which peanuts to get. See, the peanuts with the company with the big P on the front, I wouldn't eat them. If you're going to get it, there are natural peanuts that may have some special energy, but you need to know where to go get those. You see, but just your average commercial peanut is going to have toxins because the skin of it, that it's not even a shell, is very porous. Also, and I know some folks are not going to like this, but cashew. If you've got eczema and skin conditions, I would leave cashew alone. You know, a friend of mine who was from Brazil, he said, we use cashew in the rainforest as a nerve toxin to kill monkeys. They dip their darts. And, you know, they say cashew is a fruit. It's actually a fruit. It's not really what you think. So I would be careful with those things. I would also, what you're eating, you've got to eat food that actually feed the blood because it's a blood toxicity. What we've seen work very well for people with eczema is to do 3 months of our elevated total body program. 3 months of the elevated total body program without a break. 3 moon cycles. You got to go to see herbs, products, and things like this that come from the earth work in moon cycles. Just like parasites, they live in a moon cycle. So you got to break, you've got to stop that flow, because there's a certain time of the month when they eat, certain time of the month they mate, certain times of the month they go to parasite or bug church to worship the most high bug. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to break that cycle over a 28-day period. And 3 moon cycles is usually what it takes to get past certain levels of illness, especially ones that have to do with the blood. Now, for the skin, a lot of people are trying to treat this from the skin. And you can do some things that will work temporarily for the skin. And number one, a lot of folks that have eczema also have fungus or yeast in the skin or a type of candidiasis, right? So what we've got to do is make the skin more acid. The skin must be acid. So what you can do is take the banana and take the inside of the peel of the banana and rub it on those areas. Because a lot of times it's in your joints. You know what I'm saying? Where it shows up, you know, you take the inside of the peel of the banana and rub it in those places. And that's for a lot of skin conditions.
Yeah. The inside of a banana?
Oh, man, off the chain. Mosquito bites. You know, so mosquito bites, it cools them out instantly. It's like, it's an acid that protects the banana inside the peel. Not that many bugs try to eat bananas. You see? And if you want to get the original bananas, like the burrow bananas and all, they all kind of have this enzyme, you know what I'm saying, that puts acid on the skin. But it is also a problem with yeast or candidiasis. So we've got to also treat the friendly bacteria with at least 32 strains of microorganisms or friendly bacteria or probiotics, 32 strains or more. And you've got to stay with that for a while. And then we got to talk about what you eat. So this is the kind of question where if folks really would like some help with this, they can, go to my website, email me. There's a phone number there for a few of you to call. Now, it's going to take me a while to get back to you. I can tell you right now, because I see the website right now is already slowing down because y'all over there hitting it hard. But guess what? They can't stop it this time, brother.
What's the website?
Elevationtime.com. Elevationtime.com. That's where you get the Platinum Life Elixir, which is working on your pineal gland and helping you live longer and get rid of heavy metals. The Mushroom Tonic, which has got 13 medicinal mushrooms. Mushrooms can do something that herbs can't do.
That's my favorite one. This one right here, right?
Mushrooms can do something herbs cannot do because they're living, that's the part of the microbiome. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's everything.
Right.
When you start talking about, the mycelium network, it gets deep. We did a whole show on that. So go check that show out.
Yeah.
But the Mushroom Tonic has, and the thing that the mushrooms can do that most herbs can't do, mushrooms are intelligent. So they kind of know where the infirmities are. They know where there is a blockage and they begin to, just like in nature, they can grow on trees or grow in places where something is breaking down, and they can break down elements and things in your body or blockages in your circulatory system, your nervous system, or on organs. And so that's where you get the Mushroom Tonic. And and somebody asked me earlier, I had to mention this. They said, bro, when is the Rise and Shine going to be back? Rise and Shine is for the brothers who need to rise and shine. Now that one, you're going to need to be careful. It says take 3 droppers. Guess what? Some folks decide to take 6 droppers. And they call me the next day. And they say, bro, my flag is flying too high. Ooh. And she's knocked out, bro. What should I do? I said, I tried to tell you that this is not a regular herbal product. Rise and Shine is for the men to help their flag. You need to make sure that the woman, she takes some passion too. Now, this is for men and women, but passion helps you become passionate about your goals, passionate about who you are. And there's a lot of products on the website. So go just, check it out. But also, let me say really quickly, there is the God Power event. If you missed it, it's still up on our website. You can go and join that. There is the Dr. B bundle of classes. There's like 14 classes that you can get in one bundle. This is like my top picks of classes that I've done over the last 3 years. You can get that whole bundle. It's like going to college. I think it's like 64 hours worth of classes. Right. You can get that on the, and you're in college, believe me. You just write down everything, study everything. And, we also have, a bunch of different things. I have this class called the Life Transformation System 1, which gives you 7 things that you do every day that will change your life, guaranteed. So that's on the website too. So there's lots of classes. Also the medicine music, the music that I created that has to do with healing, just a vibrational healing. Most of it is tuned to 432 and 528. And there's sounds from all over the world. And this creates a environment that takes you to a place of meditation and balance and healing and love and peace and harmony. So that also is on the website. But this Saturday from 11 a.m. until about 3, I'm doing a class with it's actually a free webinar with Dr. Mahdi Brown. He was on last week. Dr. Mahdi Brown, 20 years ago, was my student. And his story is deep. Who he is today, what he does now. He's a doctor of naturopathic medicine. He lives in Spain. He's doing extremely well. And he started off with us, and he tells his story on the, how he got started as my student and who he is now and how he used all the things that he learned 20 years ago to become who he is now. And this Saturday, we're going to complete his story because something happened to him that was like, this was life-changing. He basically checked out for a little while off the planet. And he tells the story of what happened and how I was there with him in the hospital. And I had to carry him to the hospital. It was crazy. But it taught him what he saw in these visions when he was crossing in and out of the world was he kept seeing the carbon molecule. And he kept seeing the tree, not the tree of life, the flower of life and the star tetrahedron. And he began to break it down. And he knows something about melanin and the carbon molecule that I've never heard before. So he'll be on this Saturday as my guest. And that's at elevationtime.com. Go to events. And you'll see at the very top, you'll see the first one is the one that is this weekend. And then the one after that is the one that we did last weekend. So you can get the whole story. But it's a story about how you can become successful by going through this process called Hormesis. What has to do with going through the stress and turning what you call the low vibration into high vibration and the high vibration into low vibration and going through what we call the stress of life and realize that all these things that are happening to us are happening from us also. We are creating this. We are creators. We're co-creators. And this thing is so deep. And, we're all getting ready for God power too. I hope y'all ready for God power too. Y'all ready for God power too? Because God power 2 is on the way. And what, Billy Carson and I and Brother Rich are preparing. If you were at the first one, which made history, that was the biggest event of its kind ever done. This one is going to be off the chain. What we're preparing now, we're going to talk about some things that have never been spoken. There's things that we talk about in secret groups that we couldn't get to until this time. So make sure when you hear about God Power 2, that you're there. And please go down to the Forbidden Knowledge, Conscious Awards, go hang out, and, vote for me, vote for Brother Rich. That's how we can get to that point where we can be seen by more people and really carry this word. But I'd like to thank all of you for, being here at this particular time and investing your space and, in supporting this Brother Rich, because what he's doing, he's rich. You see what I'm saying? He is the rich man. And he's teaching us all how to be wealthy. When I say rich, I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about as a person. And what he's bringing to us is very powerful. So much love to you, brother, and your family and your grandparents and your great-grandparents and all of you out there right now. It's time to rise. It's elevation time. Are you ready? But there's some things you're going to need to do. And you're going to need to back down off of some of that ego. And some of y'all that don't have no ego, let's bring it up. And you are already wealthy. You're already healthy. You are love. You are the lover. You are married. You are involved. You are part of this whole thing. So be the drummer, be the musician. And remember, love is in the earth. Is that it?
So yeah, that's it. Somebody said, I'm going to listen to God Power tonight. They're like, man, I got to revisit that one.
Yeah, you got to revisit it because there was some things that were said. People are still calling me saying they caught what I was saying in part 3 or part 4, or they caught what Billy was saying. And, Billy gave out all the plugs. And most of the plugs that he gave out on the financial situation, I've used most of them.
You used them. You called me. You was like, yo, Rich, my credit. Yo, this, yo. I don't want to blow you up, but you was hype. You was bad hype out there. Yeah.
Made these calls. Do this, and he's giving it to you, no emotion. This is what you do. Yeah. And I started doing it. And I was like, oh, man. And this is the kind of knowledge that we need right now, instead of complaining about what we don't have. Instead of oppressing ourselves, depressing ourselves, repressing ourselves and others, let's actually do something. Because what you're going to learn this weekend is your reticular activating system, which is a part of your body, only works if you put it in action. It's not about just thinking and being conscious. and having all these conscious prayers and all this. You have to actually move towards something. So, every time that Brother Rich is doing the show, he's doing something. He's not talking about it. And he's been doing this. I understand now. I done met people that knew him from back in the streets of New York. They said he was doing this forever, playing a keyboard on the corner, selling VHS. Was it VHS or CDs?
No, DVDs. That was DVDs.
DVDs. You got to be doing something. You can't sit around and just think that, you're just supposed to get stuff and you just, stuff that ain't happening to me. You're calling yourself kings and queens, but we're acting like paupers and we're acting like, you got to put in the work, move towards your desires and be thankful in advance.
You know what it was, Dr. B, in New York. So I was doing a street vending thing. And, I had, I had my camera and I would film, with the brother Sarnetta. There was another brother named Shabazz, another brother named Black Dot. We would do all types of lectures in New York City. So I go out there and, I got my DVDs out there as well as DVDs Sarnetta did and other people as well in our circle. And shout out to our opener, Moo Productions, all of y'all. And, you waiting for customers to come. So I said, shit, I might as well bring a little piano out here. And at first I was like, damn, that's going to look embarrassing. If I got a piano, they're going to think I'm homeless or some shit. I said, man, F that, man. I need to practice. I was taking my classes with, I had a Haitian dude that was teaching me music theory. So I was learning. I was like, man, all this time out here, I could be practicing. So I would bring my piano. I bought a little like $60 one from Guitar Center that I didn't mind bringing on the street. I had it out there, got my chair. King Simon would come and say, it'll be cold out there. I'll be out there like, playing the piano, man. Learning my music theory, man. Learning my A scale and my A major, B minor, B flat, G sharp, and all of that, man. So yeah, I made full use of my time, man. Shit.
And I had no idea, brother, the amount of music in you. And when I asked you to come to my studio and to be a part of that program I'm doing this, I don't want to get a name out yet because we're working on a name, but it's a music show.
Yeah.
And I said, won't you come down, man? Can you come down and be part of the show? You was like, yeah, man, I'll come. I said, well, you said, what are we gonna talk? I said, music, vibration, how vibration and healing go together, and how our philosophy behind music and what drives us, and what do we do when we get down and out, and how can we use the metaphysical qualities of music to change the world? And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, this brother came online. He was on fire. He was on the edge of his seat for it was almost 2 hours. He didn't stop. You know what I'm saying? We was gonna play and do a little jam session, but it was, we had somebody else coming right after him, so we had to cut it short. But this brother went into a whole nother realm, because then I was like the host and he was the guest. Off the chain. Music is everything. The whole universe is music. So we will be doing this, and we're going to talk about it on the show before it starts. This new series where I'm interviewing musicians from all over the world. Some are very famous, some are you never heard of them, and it's about real music, just not pushing buttons and playing samples. Actually, musicians that play instruments, that have a philosophy, who actually help change the world through music and vibration. It's amazing. In fact, one of my guests is going to be Kamasi Washington. Kamasi Washington is the jazz musician who is like, he's amazing. If you just go check out Kamasi Washington, he's off the chain. But he's a guest on an album that I'm working on right now, a metaphysical jazz record that I've been working on for the last couple of years, and he's one of the guests. Man, these people that we're bringing out to the forefront right now, that we're going to do, because now we got the internet like this, we can actually say almost anything we want. It's time to rise. It's time to do something, to stop sitting around talking about what the problems are and start looking at solutions. And the solution is music. Music is medicine. Herbs are medicine. Water. You can take the water, as I was saying earlier, and program the water. When I didn't have my herbs, I don't think I finished that story. When I didn't have my herbs, I actually held them in my right hand and thought of the herbs that I wanted to be in this water. And I drank it. And do you know what was weird? The water had a different taste.
Hey, I'm sorry. I got something to say to that. Good. I knew you was going to say that. I got something to say to it.
The water was no longer water because I infused the water with my thought process.
Listen, family, and I got to say this real quick. If you want to know how, I wish I had a juicer. If you want to know how powerful, your thoughts is, and I'm glad Dr. B just said that. I want this is something everybody could do tonight or tomorrow, and I would love for y'all to comment on under this video after the video is posted. Take take some water, a glass, a bottle, whatever you drink, wherever you drink your water from, and while you're drinking your water, I want you to look at something else. So another drink, like let's say if it's juice, like this is, I went to Chipotle, got me a salad, and I had an orange soda with the salad, right? So drink the water and look at another drink, and I guarantee you your water is going to taste a little bit somewhat like whatever you're looking at, because that's how powerful the mind is. You're drinking water, but you're telling your mind is telling your brain that it's looking at this soda, juice, or whatever it is. So it's going to throw off the taste of the water. And that's how powerful the mind is, y'all. Real powerful.
Can I do an experiment with you really quickly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hold that water? Get that water back again.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, I want you to taste it. Just check out don't drink it all. Just drink a little bit. See what it tastes like. Now hold that up so that I can see the water. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to shine a light at the water. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on. Let me do this.
No.
Taste the water.
I'm trying to figure out the word to explain it. I don't know if you did some Jedi mind trick on me or something like that, but I'm trying to figure out the word to explain it. More clean.
What we did with that light, that's a quantum physics light. By shining it on that product, it changed the frequency of the water, and it made it structured so that now that water has this 6-pointed star symbol in it. It turned it into Dr. Emoto water. This light that I shined on it has been approved by Dr. Emoto's lab.
Yeah.
You can shine this light on anything, water, plants, people, and the energy level just goes off it's off the chain. It's quantum physics light. So I use this on all my products, and I'll even use it on myself. I'll put it on my head. I'll be going through whatever, you put it on your body. Right. And it does it through quantum energy. There's no space and no time in the quantum field. So I just shined the light on this through this camera, and it went through the camera to your water. It's amazing. Now, a lot of people, because I did this last week on a webinar, people say, well, where can we get the light? Well, we now have a few lights. If you go to elevationtime.com and go to, where is it? Something living, something on there, natural living, holistic living or something. And then you'll see on there's a thing that says anti-radiation and high energy devices. That's where you can find like this little disc that I have here. And it's a bunch of things. There's actually a device you can put on the water to your house, and it changes the water in your entire house. There's another little
a filter? A filter?
It's not a filter. It's not filtering the water. It's changing the frequency of water. So it changes the frequency so that your water is crystallized. And now you can just, any water, you could use regular tap water and it tastes like spring water.
Shit.
Okay, this is a whole group of devices. One of the persons that I interviewed on my music program is this guy from Germany. He was a percussionist in Germany. And, he wanted to meet, Billy Carson and, Billy Carson, and they watched this guy did a demonstration with all these devices. Blew everybody's mind. Instantaneously, they got devices that block radiation and doesn't block it. It nullifies. I got to be very careful when I say that. It doesn't block anything. It nullifies or changes the frequency of 5G, 4G, things around your house. I got this one on my neck. This is changing the frequency of my glands. And also it helps you connect your head and your heart so that you're more balanced.
Right.
Then I got these devices that I wear. One of them blocks radiation from around my body. The other one blocks anything that has to do with a disease factor that's out in the environment. I don't go nowhere without my devices now. And I couldn't believe how this stuff worked. So we started using it in the making of the herbal products. As I said, the herbs, everything is going to have frequencies that we, you can't block everything, but you can change the frequency of it. But when we're done, like I'll take this herbal product like this, and I'll just put the light on it. Instantaneously, this brings the energy level of this up like 10 times. So we do have those products. They're on the website, but when you go to the website, when you see the energy products, you're going to click on a link and it's going to take you to a whole nother website. It's not ours. So we don't actually sell them. We're helping to promote this company. And let me tell you something. The website that you're going to go to with to purchase the products is whack. It's going to be like, wait a minute. This is like one of the first websites. And it's just it's cumbersome. It's weird. There's a lot of stuff. But he has all these certifications for these products that have been certified all over the world, but the United States won't certify them. So those of you who are looking for those quantum energy devices to help block radiation, well, not block radiation, neutralize radiation, and the energy light that you can use on your body, and you can use it on water, those are all now, there's a link on our website at elevationtime.com. And you have to tell them, they're not going to sell you the devices unless you say you got it from Dr. B or you got it from Elevation Time, something like that, because that's the code word to let you in, because otherwise, we're trying to be very careful because the black helicopters, the new helicopters ain't black. They got the new translucent helicopters. I heard. They used to be black when you knew the government was coming. Now they translucent. If you listen, you just hear this sound. Yeah, I heard. And you look up and you still see clouds. You're like, well, what is that? That's the new translucent helicopters. You see what I'm saying? We'll get into that in a whole nother program. So,
hey, Dr. B, that Q&A that I'm gonna have with you on the next show, that's gonna be fire, man. The people gonna be calling in. Oh man, that's gonna be real fun for you to kick it with the family. So keep a lookout for that, family. Dr. B will be back soon. He's gonna do a live Q&A with y'all. Also, make sure you hit up the brother's website, www. It's on the screen, www.elevationtime.com. But besides that, any last words before we get out of here, Dr. B?
Make your word be divine and loving and caring, and think 5 times before you speak. Make sure your tongue is not forked. In other words, your thoughts should be in alignment with your tongue. And if you have nothing good to say, maybe say nothing. I'd like to say thank you to all the herbalists out there, people who are making products, all the natural health folks, the nurses, the doctors, all the brothers and sisters in the world who are attempting to do good for the planet, all of you who are emitting more love, more kindness, being more gentle, that's the time, that we've been waiting for. It's here now. And I'd like to thank you, brother. And I'd like to thank Billy Carson and Elizabeth over there at Forbidden Knowledge. Like I said, we've got this new show coming out. There's 2 of them. Ask Dr. B is where I get into the metaphysics of changing people, helping them get past, blockages in their lives. That's going to be coming out soon. And also my music podcast. So I want to thank you very much for having me on once again. And like you said, we never really talked about this herbal thing. And I use, you got a bunch of people who are in the herbs and everybody's good. It's not that one person's things are better than the other. It's just a bit depending on who you choose. And I want to say this one last thing.
They saying they crashed the website again, Doc.
Come on, they can't crash my website. It can't crash. Let me look. Don't tell me that now. I done spent a grip. Brother, what's going on? Y'all can't crash. My site is uncrashable.
Hey, man.
I'm going to shine this light on it.
They said, they say now it's back. Website down.
I shine that light on it.
It's going back and forth. It's going down. It's coming back. But
I got to call these people and tell them, look,
hey,
I done paid extra money to have my own server.
It's black magic, man.
Y'all putting black magic on my server? Okay, it's coming back now. I see it. Okay, so let me say this really quickly. Not everybody's going to be an herbalist, but everybody is a medicine person. So a lot of times people will ask me, they say, well, Dr. B, do your herbs work? And guess what I tell them? No. And they look at me, well, what do you mean? Well, they don't work because you already have doubt in your energetic field. So you are already working against the herbs because you're not meeting them halfway. If you want to say, why would I make it if it doesn't have the ability and the potential to work. But what really brings the herbal product, the medicine, the vitamin, or the minerals online is your consciousness, and you're saying it's going to, what do you want? What would you like it to do? So if you hold it in your hand and say, I'm thankful for the healing, for the meditation, I'm thankful for the medicine, I'm thankful for, for this helping me with the eczema situation, or this helping me get to the next level, or having more energy, or more love and more peace and more harmony, and being better with my love life and having more wealth. Because when you get your health right, you become wealthy. You work on that and everything comes online. So I just want to let me keep it simple. When you are wondering whether the product works or not, you have to first work it. Yoga don't work by itself. Martial arts don't work by themselves. Meditation doesn't work by itself. Herbs don't work by themselves. Vitamins, you know what I'm saying? None of this. Feng shui, you could keep going on. Tai chi, none of it works by itself. You have to work it. So you got to meet it halfway. So have faith already that it already has happened. You have to know when you walk in the room that whatever you're about to take is working for you, that you're going to get what you desire. When you go to decide that you're going to watch black magic, you have to listen very carefully. And I say, what is black magic going to do for me? What am I going to do for the black magic? Because we are all black magic people. You see, all of us, no matter what color you are, but you have to meet the thing. So you have to energize the thing. Don't go to the place saying, what does the place have to offer to me? I hope I have a good time. Have a good time already. Already have the healing. You are the healing. You are the drum. You are the instrument. What instrument are you playing? Don't oppress yourself. Don't suppress and depress yourself. Rise up. Be yourself. Be good. Be beautiful. Be the best you can. Use whatever you have to be your best. You don't have to be whole. You just got to use the piece that you got to create wholeness. So that means you got to what? Maximize the minimum. Take the little bit you got and make that into a lot. And if you don't have your herbs, get your hand and focus into the water or into whatever you're drinking or whatever you're eating, what you desire. When you go pick one of those organic Fuji apples, it don't have no power until you give it power. So that's when you put your hands over your plate and you say your grace. Grace is when you're giving a sacred space so that your food that you're about to ingest can be recognized by your genes, by your mitochondria, because you hold your hands over your food and let the auric field and the energy of the food touch your mindset. Your energy field now becomes what? A part of the food. And you digest better. You think better. You love better. Before you make love with your loved one, do a meditation. Sit there. What do y'all want? What are y'all going to create tonight? You're just not going to make some whoopee. You see, that's why the world is crazy, because folks been making too much whoopee. You've got to focus on what you desire and become it. Don't say, I hope they love me. You got to love yourself. Don't say, I want to be married. Be married within yourself. Be evenly yoked with your left brain, your right brain, your subconscious, your conscious. Be evenly yoked with yourself. And now you are the love. You are the herbs. You are the medicine. You are the trees and the leaves. Stop letting people, talk you out of yourself. And stop letting people talk against you and stop talking against other people. You have to have love. And one thing I like about Brother Black Magic here, this man is rich. He is rich with love and his heart is huge. And I got to see him at another level when he came by, and I just thank you, brother. Thank you for what you bring. And thank you for your family, your people, whether you know them all or not, your ancestors. And we all have to have, that love for ourselves and be thankful. And don't forget about Mother Earth. She is the low vibration. Go lay on her naked and be naked and be yourself and become authentic. I'll see y'all this Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can learn about how to attract what we truly desire.
Dr. B, real quick, what was the name of that song by Carlos Santana?
Black Magic Woman.
Black Magic Woman. Okay, yeah. In my mind, I was like, damn, what was the name of this song? Black Magic Woman. Yeah.
How you know about that song, man?
Man, come on, man.
I'm a conga drummer, right?
Bobby Hemming used to talk about that song back in the day.
Do you know that song and the congas in it, because all of the Santana's music had a lot of percussion.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It was the rhythm of that song that takes you into a trance space that really taught me how to play drums. I got a black magic woman I got a black magic woman. I got a black magic woman. She put a spell on me, babe. Put a spell on me. Put a spell on me. I need a spell put on me.
Woo! Talk to me. I love this shit.
Don't you would like, people scared of the spell. He put a spell on her.
Come on.
He put a spell on her. That's what's wrong with it. No, because she ain't hanging with y'all sitting over there eating, naked shrimps and gigantic popcorn shrimps and lobsters and all that. All of a sudden it's a spell on her because she don't want to hang with y'all. But she's awake because we put a spell on each other. And you're spelling with your words. This is the only language that uses the spelling. Spelling is a spell. It's a spin. We're magic. I got a black magic woman. You see, you want a black magic man too, don't you, sister, want a black magic man, a man that can do something? You don't want nobody, he's all neutered, you know what I'm saying? And he don't do nothing. He just sits around, we pray together and nothing happens. We've been praying for 40 years, going to church on Sunday and ain't nothing happened. But we got to get up and create the magic. But that magic, that majesticness that we all have, because we are the magi. When you understand what the magi is, you understand why you're a black magic woman, why you're a black magic man. Because we create magic, but somebody oppressed us and got us to be afraid of our true magic. So they called you a witch, witchcraft. Well, we all had crafts, and I needed to know when you came in town, which craft was you into? So we got afraid of the sorcerer. The sorcerer is a person who is connected directly to source. So when I'm working with herbs, guess what? I'm asking the universe. I ask the universe which things to use in the formulation. Some people say, well, Dr. B, I bought your herbs 6 months ago and they taste different this time because they're not standardized. I'm using what's in the season, what's in the vibration, what the stars are telling me to use at that particular time, which makes it different because that difference is what nature is. Nature is always changing. It's never the same. This show, what I talk about, is never going to be the same. We never are the same. Nature is never putting out the same vibration. It's always changing. So why should we stay the same? So get rid of your old stuff and get rid of that concrete and that being hard and stiff and not wanting to change, and open your mindset to a new reality. Because right now we are on a brand new path. The earth, the sun, and everything. That sun is not even the same sun up in the sky. We'll talk about that later. It's a different sun. We're on a different earth.
Jesus Christ.
So it is really deep, but it's also very shallow. But this is the time. So you should be cleansing, detoxifying, getting as natural as you possibly can. It's not about whether you're a vegan or a vegetarian. It's about whether you're eating right for your energy type, not for your blood type, for your energy type. Certain foods you eat, something ain't right because you got to go to bed. You got to go to sleep. You get crazy. One eye's drifting from the other one. You talking crazy. Guess what? The food is toxic. It's got spirits in it, just like alcohol is spirits. You see, some of the foods got spirits in it. So you need to know what to eat, when to eat, why to eat. And then you also have to look at when to cleanse, when to detox. And this other thing about cleansing all the time, I'm going to get off here after this. Y'all crazy with this. Every time I talk to someone, I'm doing a cleanse. I'm on a cleanse. Well, how dirty is you? You cleansing 24/7? I just got off a juice cleanse before I was on a water cleanse. And now I'm on this. See, sometimes we're cleansing away because we feel sick, but we don't realize that sometimes it's the pulse method. You cleanse for a while, you detoxify, but then at certain times you've got to put nutrition in your body. A lot of times cleansing is washing away your nutrition. And some folks have done so much cleansing that their body is out of balance. Some people are too alkaline. I talk to some people, I'm going to say this and I got to go. I got some friends, they eat alkaline, they talk alkaline, everything is alkaline, and I don't like them because they're always angry. They're always talking about what the problems are on the planet, and there's no solutions. You might need to go get you a piece of chocolate cake. You might need to go eat something for a minute so you can bring your ass down to earth because we're all here together, and stop being so judgmental against everything. But you eating the best food. All I do is I'm a raw foodist. Well, why you got this attitude? Why you always talking shit? Why? Because there's some things that have to do with the energy of life that you are not doing because you're attempting to cleanse yourself from the toxins because you feel like you was born in sin and you feel like certain things are a low vibration. We would like all the vibration. You would like everything, but using it at the right time. Sacred things at sacred times and sacred places. I go to some people's houses and they burning sage 24/7. I said, what is up in here? If you feel like you got to burn sage all the time, and half the sage don't even do what you think it do, because half the sage ain't even a natural sage no more. But you heard about sage, you read about sage. It cleanses your auric field. It gets rid of demons. Well, look at you. You act like a demon sometimes. And you keep demanding all these things, but you're not what? Being loving and caring. And realize that it's your vibration that is the real sage. That is the real health vibration. It's your vibration. It's
vibration. Your vibration.
And we ain't talking about just a high vibration. Because right now, you see, I'm talking in a low vibration. And when I talk in a low vibration, you get a certain energy. But then I'm going to go up really high. And I'm going to use a melody. A melody is everything. Melody is everything. Up and down. When you're down and out, sometimes you're down and out, right? Because you need to be down and out for a minute. So when you get up, you'll be able to recognize and be thankful for it. Sometimes if you ain't been through nothing, right? If you haven't been through anything, you're not thankful and grateful for what you have. So you got to have nothing to realize what something is. You got to be sick sometime to realize what wealth is. You see? It's really deep. So thank you. And like I said, thanks to all y'all out there that's doing the work, all your guests on the show. Everybody love. You know, let's just have respect for each other. It's time to come together. We are the village, and everything in the village ain't good. And just because it's from Africa don't mean it's good. You understand what I'm saying? If it's from Africa, it's good. Let me tell you, I used some African soap one time, and that spot on my body still burns to this day.
Doc, come on.
Because it was somebody told me, sister, what you know, it's African soap. Dr. B, you got to buy it. It's from Africa. I bought that African soap, and I took a bath, and I started itching and burning. Around my private areas was on fire. I was like, what is this stuff? You know what I'm saying? And the hair on the side of my leg just fell off. It was like an exfoliant or something. What do they call it when your hair comes off? Is that exfoliant? Hair was gone. And I was like, what is this? It's an African soap. All stuff from Africa is not meant to be used by everybody. And just because the Africans did it doesn't mean everybody should do it. Just because the Europeans did it doesn't mean everybody should do it. You got to live right for your vibratory rate. You got to get to know yourself. So that lost ID a lot of people got, you know, they lost their ID and somebody then took their credit. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of people have lost their ID. Some people have given their ID and their ideas away. You got to get back to yourself. That becomes, you know, that gets to the point of being transparent and more loving. And that's what we're going to talk about on Saturday too.
Indeed. Wow. What a live. Like Dr. Feelsgood said, another historic live from Dr. B. He has returned. I mean, the brother has returned.
I'm back.
Wow, he's
back.
Go nowhere. Wow. But listen, hey, I want to thank you, Dr. B. Thank you to everybody in the chat. An amazing live. Make sure you play this one back. Make sure you share this one with your family and friends. On that note, this is Brother Rich, Black Magic 363 with Dr. B. Sirius. Hit up elevationtime.com. We are getting out of here, family. Peace.
Wholeness.